A closed storefront announces the end of the Ishikawa electronics store. An open toolbox and cable reel lie dormant. Tools of a lost trade. At a memorial altar, he apologizes to his father for failing to save their store. Alone in the empty shop, he acknowledges his new unemployed status. He prostrates himself on the floor, desperately begging for assistance. An older man regretfully explains that the recession prevents him from offering any help. The young man's face is a mask of anguish as he continues to plead. Lying in bed, he reflects on how his life has been consumed by work. Scrolling through his phone, he realizes he has lost contact with his old friends. His attempt to call someone is met with an automated number not in use message. He laments that it's too late to reconnect after turning down so many invitations. Staring at his ceiling, he wonders if it was always so low, feeling crushed. In his messy room, he comes to the bleak conclusion that he has lost everything. Seeking a distraction, he decides to read some online novels for the first time. An annoying banner advertisement suddenly pops up on his phone's screen. The ad asks if he wants to transfer to another world, warning of danger. His suspicious gaze confirms his belief that the website is incredibly shady. With nothing better to do, he resigns himself to filling out the strange survey. The survey presents a typical medieval fantasy RPG world with monsters and magic. He grows weary of the seemingly endless, overly detailed questionnaire. An old-fashioned alarm clock shows how much time has passed. A dark transitional panel marks the passage of time as he finishes. A magical seal appears on his screen, thanking him for completing the survey. A simple message on his phone, that's all, leaves him completely baffled. The sudden sound of a doorbell startles him as he looks up from his phone. He opens his shuttered storefront, thinking it might be a delivery service. A well-dressed man with glasses politely asks if he is Mr. Ryoichi Shikawa. The man introduces himself as Kami Shirahito while presenting a business card. Ryoichi asks if he is a salesman, but Shirahito's purpose is different. Shirahito states he is here to confirm Ryoichi's desire to transfer worlds. Ryoichi is shocked, insisting it's impossible since he just finished the survey. Shirahito suggests that evidence is more important than theory and offers a demonstration. With a simple snap of his fingers, Shirahito prepares to alter their reality. In an instant, they are transported to a beautiful, glowing, ethereal forest. Shirahito calmly introduces this new world as Starlia, asking for his opinion. Ryoichi pinches his cheek, confirming with wide-eyed shock that this is not a dream. Shirahito explains that this world contains monsters pointing to a nearby slime. Ryoichi trembles as Shirahito warns him that the monsters are harmful and will attack. The slime's face suddenly contorts into a monstrous, wide-eyed visage. The once ductile slime lunges forward with surprising speed, startling Ryoichi. Shirahito unleashes a powerful blast of energy, obliterating the attacking slime. Shirahito reveals that magic exists here and offers to teach Ryoichi how to use it. Ryoichi stumbles back from the violent display, shocked by the suddenness of the attack. After some struggle, he successfully learns a spell, earning his teacher's praise. The scene transitions to the next day, marked by a simple cup of tea. The two sit together as Shirahito begins to discuss the transfer details. Shirahito gravely explains that once transported, returning to Earth is impossible. A worried Ryoichi questions what will happen to his old life and if he refuses. Shirahito casually states that refusal means his memory will be erased in existence falsified. He presents a catalog explaining that teleporters are given various special perks. Ryoichi is surprised by the offer of what he calls cheat abilities. A list shows the 4 standard supplied abilities, including appraisal and an item box. Shirahito offers an encyclopedia from which Ryoichi can choose 3 more godly abilities. Ryoichi flips through the book, wondering what kind of powers it contains. The book offers skills that would normally require hard work, granted instantly. Ryoichi is amazed at the prospect of mastering god-level techniques without any training. He finds the vast selection like a catalog gift makes the choice difficult. Shirahito mentions another perk, the God Gift, represented by a treasure chest. Ryoichi is shocked to learn the Supreme God will personally create a tool he imagines. His imagination runs wild, envisioning a time-traveling car far beyond a simple cheat. Shirahito quickly shuts down ideas of time or world alteration due to their complexity. Shirahito begins to conclude their meeting, asking Ryoichi to consider the offer. He tells Ryoichi to decide on his abilities, promising to return in 3 days. Ryoichi is left standing alone in front of his now closed electronics store. Holding the encyclopedia, Ryoichi admits his heart is already set on accepting. He reflects that the timing is perfect, arriving just as his life felt empty. He walks past a local factory, a familiar sight from his life in Japan. A view of a traditional shrine gate marks another landmark of his hometown. A comforting bowl of noodles is shown, a dish full of memories. Ryoichi recalls often eating at this restaurant with his father after work. The elderly owner greets him warmly, asking why he looks so worried. Ryoichi confesses that he feels he has reached a major turning point in his life. The owner shares his own story of a midlife career change for encouragement. He gives Ryoichi a free plate of yosa, telling him life is a challenge. Touched by the gesture and advice, Ryoichi thanks him, his resolve renewed. He walks alone through the quiet, lamplit streets of his town. Standing on a hill, he looks over the town, knowing it's his last time. He walks towards his home, a solitary figure against the twilight sky. A brilliant sunbeam breaks through the clouds, illuminating the town in a final goodbye. The scene returns to the closed storefront, symbolizing the end of his old life. Ryoichi presents his signed application, stating that he believes this is fate. He asked Shirohito if he will have a specific mission in the new world. Shirohito assures him there are no constraints. He is free to live as he wishes. Shirohito reviews the list of abilities and god gifts Ryoichi has chosen. Shirohito notes the lack of combat skills, but Ryoichi is confident in his plan. Ryoichi explains he made his choices unique because he was unsure how to learn one skill. Shirohito looks over the chosen abilities, conceding Ryoichi has thought it through. He concludes that with this setup, Ryoichi is unlikely to die in most situations. Ryoichi is immediately confronted by a pack of fearsome, lesser wolves in the new world. His own low stats appear and he is seized by terror, believing he will die. He is shocked to find the wolves possess higher ranks and special abilities. As the wolves charge, he instinctively throws up his arm, preparing a defensive spell. The pack of horned beasts lunges at him with ferocious intent. One of the wolves is surprised as a ball of light forms in his hand. The wolves descend upon him, overwhelming him in a chaotic blur of motion. A wolf's jaws clamp down on his throat and he cries out in agony. His bloody hand is shown as he questions if he will die just after starting. He clenches his fist, defiantly refusing to die as magic swirls around it. His defiant magic erupts, sending two of the attacking wolves flying backwards. The two wolves are blasted away by the immense force of his unexpected magic. Standing amidst the carnage, Ryoichi realizes he is mastering the ability to use magic with both hands. Steam rises from his neck as the grievous wound from the wolf's bite begins to heal. He remembers his unique ability, a god-class regenerative body that allows him to recover from any non-fatal injury. Without warning, the leader of the wolf pack lunges towards him with terrifying speed. He knows the beast is too fast for him to cast another spell in time. Acting on pure instinct, he delivers a devastating high kick that shatters the creature's skull. He pants heavily, catching his breath after the intense and unexpected physical feat. Stunned by his own action, he questions how he managed to land such a powerful kick. He theorizes that defeating the other wolves boosted his physical stats due to his accelerated growth ability. Examining a fang from the fallen beast, he compares it to raw materials from online novels. He then consults a detailed map, identifying it as another of his god's gifts. The map's incredible utility amazes him, clearly showing his location and destination at a glance. An overhead view on the map reveals they are approaching the nearest settlement, EA's village. At the village gate, a stern guard holding a halberd demands to see his identification. Ryoichi apologetically informs the guard that he does not possess any form of ID. He nervously explains that he has left his hometown with the intention of becoming an adventurer. The guard informs him of the rule requiring 3 silver coins for entry without identification. His shiny coins draw the guard's suspicion, who asks if they were stolen from a temple. A flashback reveals his assets from Japan were converted into 10 million yen of Starly's currency. He calculates that the 3 silver coin entry fee is equivalent to about 3,000 yen. A chart details the divinely controlled currency system where forgery is met with divine punishment. The guard reluctantly welcomes him to EA's village, but sternly warns him not to cause any trouble. As he walks through the village, his bloodied and torn clothes draw stares from the townsfolk. The people at the market look at him with a mixture of curiosity and suspicion. 2 women whisper to each other, clearly unsettled by his disheveled and bloody state. Feeling self-conscious, he sits on a barrel, deciding his first priority is to find lodging. His eyes land on a rustic building called the Springvale of the Forest, guessing it must be an inn. Inside, a young woman with a broom greets him warmly, but is shocked by his appearance. Seeing his apparent injuries, she frantically offers to call a doctor, but he reassures her he is fine. Relieved, she introduces herself as Marissa, or Marie, an employee at the inn. At the register, he explains his inability to write and asks her to sign his name for him. Marissa cheerfully decides to call him Ryoichi-san and writes his name in the local script. He reflects on his language ability, comparing it to watching a movie with subtitles and dubbing. Nearby, the innkeeper warns Marie to be wary of drifters, though she seems unconcerned. Marie kindly offers to wash and mend his clothes, but he politely declines the offer. He prepares to activate his item box ability, selecting a set of fresh work clothes. With a flash of light, his bloody garments are instantly replaced by a clean outfit. The innkeeper and Marie stare upwards, their faces masks of pure shock and disbelief. Marie exclaims in amazement, correctly guessing his ability as a gift from the gods. Ryoichi sheepishly confirms her guess, asking if such a power is truly that rare. She insists that even a high-ranking A-rank adventurer would desperately want such a convenient ability. She sniffs his new clothes, remarking on their unusual material and the pleasant smell of cleaning detergent. He acknowledges the convenience of the ability, which is tied to memories of his hometown. A flashback shows a man requesting a container from Earth as a god gift for Mr. Ishikawa. An assistant confirms a 10-foot shipping container is available in a nearby warehouse. The man in glasses smiles, forming a much grander idea for the special gift. He suggests using the entire warehouse as a dimensional storage accessible through the item box. He also proposes syncing a third god gift, the multiplication box, with the warehouse. An explanation details the multiplication box's ability to convert and multiply items using currency. His item box is revealed to be a timeless warehouse filled with tools, books, and food from Earth. Ryoichi recognizes this combination as the best cheat ability he could have received. He realizes he must find a job and get an ID, noting the cost of his new clothes. Marie thoughtfully suggests that getting an ID would require registering with a guild. She recommends the Carpenter Guild, explaining their membership card will serve as official identification. The scene shifts to the bustling interior of the Carpenter's Guild workshop, filled with craftsmen. At the reception desk, a woman asks if he's there to handle his affiliation paperwork. She explains the process requires a 1 gold coin fee to take the entrance exam. Ryoichi asks about this pass rate, learning it's only 40% even for trained apprentices. With no training, he resolves that he has no choice but to take the test anyway. A large bearded man named Gio introduces himself as the exam supervisor, scoffing at Ryoichi's slender arms. Ryoichi nervously explains that he has no relatives or letters of introduction to present. An old man chuckles, stating he can easily determine if Ryoichi is qualified for the guild. He presents a large axe in a thick log, challenging the newcomer to split it. Ryoichi approaches the task, a sense of unease washing over him as he eyes the tool. His eyes widen in shock the moment he tries to lift the formidable axe. He strains with all his might, exclaiming that the axe is impossibly heavy. The two examiners, Gio and the old man, watch his struggle with impassive expressions. Realizing this is part of the exam, Ryoichi grits his teeth, determined to pass. It takes all his strength just to lift the axe from the ground, unable to fight the weight. He decides to use the immense weight of the axe to his advantage instead of fighting it. With a great effort, he manages to hold the blade straight up over the log. The thick log waits on the chopping block, ready for the powerful impact. With a determined shout, he swings down, cleaving the log completely in two with immense force. The examiners are shocked with the old man admitting this wasn't the intended test, but is acceptable. Gio announces the second exam. Replicate a square hole in a new log using any tools. Ryoichi finds the wood is incredibly hard to work with using the provided hammer and chisel. He asks about the time limit and is told he has until the end of the day. He doubts he can finish the task in just 1 day using these conventional tools. He asked for permission to use his own tools, which the curious examiners grant. He activates his item box ability, a hexagonal interface appearing before him. The other guild members are shocked, realizing he possesses the rare storage ability. From his item box, he selects a modern power drill from among his tools. The high-tech tool materializes in his hand with a distinct, unfamiliar whirring sound. He dons safety goggles and begins expertly drilling into the tough, resistant log. A warm memory of his father giving him the power drill surfaces in his mind. He finishes the task in a matter of moments, letting out a satisfied sigh of relief. The onlookers are in an uproar, marveling at the amazing sound and the strange, magical tool. The examiners are equally stunned, having never witnessed an exam conducted with such an item. The old man declares that Ryoichi has passed, amazed by his incredible speed. He instructs the receptionist, Corona, to issue Ryoichi his new guild card immediately. The other applicants whisper among themselves, concluding he must be a magic item user. The old man confesses he didn't think Ryoichi could possibly pass without using magic. He reveals the tests were meant to be passed using physical and tool enhancement magic. Ryoichi feels a bit sorry, realizing he passed using a completely different method than intended. The old man explains the axe as a god gift, blessed by Josuke, the god of wood. Ryoichi is surprised to hear the term God's gift again, recalling his own transfer. Winking, the old man suggests that a god must have taken a liking to him. He formally introduces himself as Kokus, the guildmaster, and presents the guild card. During the induction ceremony, Guildmaster Kokus officially recognizes Ryoichi as a new companion. Gio objects, stating it's a bad precedent to accept an untrained member into the guild. A large, powerfully built man with a thick beard named Gio glares with a stern and imposing expression. Grabbing Ryoichi's shoulder, Gio declares he will personally train the newcomer in his own workshop. The group decides to celebrate the newcomer's passing with a welcome party at a local tavern. At a table laden with food, Gio takes a large gulp of ale, praising Ryoichi for being a good drinker. The guild members clink their large barrel-shaped mugs together in a hearty and celebratory cheers. Flushed from the alcohol, Gio challenges Ryoichi, demanding to see the power that Lord Josk recognized. They engage in a fierce arm wrestling match, the table cracking under the strain as onlookers watch it all. Later, Ryoichi reflects that it has been a long time since he felt so acknowledged and praised by others. Gazing at a vision of Earth from space, he ponders his choice to die there and live in a new world. Standing on a moonlit street, he solidifies his resolve to live his new life to the fullest. In a divine pillar-lined hall, the chief god observes that Stalia is a place where death is ever present. A beautiful winged Valkyrie turns away, asking the chief god if Ryoichi will be able to survive. The chief god coolly replies that the outcome is up to him, and the Valkyrie admits she is looking forward to it. Elsewhere, a young girl with braided hair pleads desperately, worried that something terrible will happen to her sister. Two miners with apologetic expressions hold up a hand telling her that her request is impossible. She kneels on the ground, begging to accompany them to the mine and promising to do all the heavy lifting. Alone at night near a large mining structure, she tearfully cries out to God, asking for someone to help her. The scene shifts to the dense forest where sounds of intense activity can be heard. Ryoichi moves with a blur of speed, narrowly dodging a falling branch during his training. From a short distance away, Gio watches with a thoughtful expression as Ryoichi skillfully chops wood. Gio notes Ryoichi's rapid progress and decides to show his men something interesting. With a powerful, arcing swing of his axe, he prepares to fell a massive tree. He warns Ryoichi and another man to watch out as he is about to knock it down. The ground at the base of the tree begins to crack and tremble with immense force. A large mound of earth rises up from the ground, creating a soft cushion for the falling tree. Ryoichi and his companions stare in wide-eyed amazement at the incredible display of power. Gio explains that this is earth magic, a technique used to soften the impact and safely lay down the tree. Ryoichi eagerly asked how to perform such magic, but Gio seems uncertain about how he learned it. Taking a puff from his pipe, Gio admits that teaching magic isn't his specialty, unlike axards or logging. He suggests that Ryoichi should go to the bookstore and look for a magic book for himself. Ryoichi arrives at the bookstore, stepping through a bookline archway into the shop. A friendly cat-eared shopkeeper with glasses welcomes him warmly, inviting him to take a look. He approaches the counter and explains that he is looking for a book about magic. The shopkeeper informs him that they have textbooks for students who have graduated from the Royal Academy. She looks at the nearly empty shelves, stating that all that's left for him is a single, ominous-looking grimoire on advanced dark magic. Its cover adorned with a single staring eye. Ryoichi is shocked to find such a rare book, but she proudly states that even a rural shop has connections. He returns to his lodgings, a rustic wooden building with a sign hanging from its porch. A young woman with a braid greets him warmly, welcoming him back from his lumberjack work. She notices the magic book he is carrying and exclaims in excitement and surprise. She eagerly asks to see him do something, so he decides to try a beginner-level wind spell. He reads that magic converts atmospheric elements and begins to channel the energy in his hands. A sudden, uncontrolled gust of wind erupts, lifting the woman's skirt and causing her to scream in shock. A wooden bucket lands perfectly on his head as he wryly calls the clumsy spell Lucky Air. He looks at the different elemental symbols in the book and resolves to practice all of them. He successfully summons a swirling ball of dark, fiery energy in the palm of his hand. During a break, a guildmate advises him to save some of his magical energy for cutting down trees. Ryoichi explains his reasoning. Using magic also improves his physical capabilities, just like fighting monsters. He expresses his strong desire to get used to this world and this village as soon as he possibly can. With renewed determination, he dashes back into the dense forest to continue his training. He runs through the woods with incredible speed, his body a blur of motion against the trees. His innate ability, a tenfold growth rate, proves its value in agility, magic acquisition, and logging techniques. He faces an oncoming threat with a powerful, fluid stance, his hands crackling with energy. 3 vicious, wolf-like beasts with horns and spiky manes charge towards him through the rocky terrain. With a single, decisive strike, he dispatches one of the charging beasts in a flash of power. He leaps gracefully from a high cliff, his movements unimaginably light and agile. From afar, Gio laughs heartily, praising Ryoichi's good work and abnormal rate of improvement. He acknowledges that Ryoichi has certainly earned the recognition he seems to want so badly. Zio presents Ryoichi with a new challenge. Go to the Shrine of the Giant Soldiers, a rite of passage for men. Ryoichi arrives at the location, looking up at the ancient, overgrown structure before him, with a sense of awe. He walks along a stone path towards the shrine's dark entrance, flanked by 2 colossal armored statues. He proceeds it down a long, vine-covered stone corridor, the sunlight filtering through the ruined ceiling. His expression is one of curiosity and caution as he carefully explores the ancient, mysterious ruins. He reaches the center of the shrine where more statues stand guard around a central monument. He pushes open a heavy stone door with great effort, revealing the central chamber. He examines a large black stone tablet covered in unfamiliar glowing runes. Kneeling beside one of the statues, he speculates that the shrine might be a magic armor control test site. He dismisses the statues as too old and decrepit to move, assuming the area has been thoroughly searched. He suddenly hears a faint, strange noise, and his ear twitches as he tries to identify it. Puzzled, he stands before the runic tablet and wonders about the source of the mysterious sound. He realizes with a start that the sound is coming from directly beneath the floorboards. He prized open a loose stone floor panel with a creak, revealing a dark hidden compartment below. Inside, he discovers a complex circuit with disconnected wires that are sparking with latent electricity. He wonders if he can repair the damaged circuit using the knowledge from his previous world. He prepares a welding mask and a modern-looking power tool, seemingly from his inventory for the task. Donning the protective mask, he begins to carefully weld the severed connections with a shower of sparks. With a delicate touch and a final flash of light, he successfully reconnects the final wires. The vertical shot shows the successful connection of the complex bundle of wires. On a nearby wall panel, a large triangular symbol with an eye in the center begins to glow with power. A heavy stone door, adorned with the same symbol, slides open with a grinding sound, revealing darkness. He decides to investigate the newly revealed staircase, stating his intention to go check it out. He cautiously descends the dark, weathered stone steps into the pitch-black passage below. A heavy scraping sound echoes from the darkness ahead, startling him and causing him to pause. He peers into the oppressive blackness, unable to tell what made the unsettling sound. To illuminate the passage, he summons a swirling ball of fire magic in the palm of his hand. His eyes widen in shock and disbelief at the horrifying sight the light suddenly reveals. The firelight illuminates the massive armored leg and foot of a giant standing directly before him. The full, towering figure of an activated golem looms over him, its eyes glowing as it holds a massive sword. The giant soldier lurches into motion with a deafening groan, raising its colossal sword to strike. Ryoichi cries out in alarm and terror as the colossal weapon begins its swift descent. He leaps acrobatically through the air just as the golem's fist smashes the ground where he stood. He lands in a crouch, his eyes wide with alarm as he realizes the statue has cut off his only escape route. Trapped and with no other option, he resolves to fight back with a rapid-fire barrage of fire magic. He unleashes a massive concussive blast of fire that engulfs the golem in a brilliant explosion. The golem takes a heavy, deliberate step forward, its massive foot cracking the stone floor with an imposing thud. As the smoke and flames begin to clear, the golem is revealed. wreathed in fire but completely undamaged. Ryoichi stares in wide-eyed disbelief, his hands still glowing, exclaiming that the golem is unharmed. The golem retaliates, its massive arms swinging with incredible speed towards the vulnerable young man. He is brutally struck by the golem's powerful blow, the impact sending him flying backward. As he is thrown through the air, he acknowledges the creature's overwhelming power and his dire situation. A massive armored golem smashes the ground, sending dark liquids splattering everywhere. Leaping through the air, Ryoichi definitely shouts that he has not finished yet. He brings a small weapon down on the golem's arm with a loud clang. Another strike connects with the golem's leg, but it has no effect. With a grimace, Ryoichi realizes that physical attacks are also proving useless. The golem's arm swings, striking with immense force in a spray of black liquid. It kneels, planting its massive sword in the ground as dark smoke rises. From the darkness, a voice coolly remarks that he has already died twice. Multiple copies of Ryoichi stand together, noting his powerful clone jutsu ability. A text box explains the God-class clone jutsu, which creates obedient duplicates. Ryoichi discusses with his clone how their abilities decrease with each resummoning. A status screen details the stats and abilities of one of his clones. His appraisal reveals the golem's immense level 38 stats in its magic nullification. Clutching a dark grimoire, he resolves to try the advanced dark magic within. He orders his clones to buy him time while he prepares the spell. The golem looms as Ryoichi acknowledges the huge risk of using this magic. Surrounded by spectral skulls, he calls upon a dark power to destroy his enemies. His eyes widen as he unleashes the forbidden spell Abyss Darkness. A torrent of dark energy and tormented souls erupts from his hands. He stands at the center of a dark vortex facing the golem's destruction. The golem's stone face cracks under the immense pressure of the dark magic. Its armored form shatters and disintegrates under the overwhelming force of the spell. Kneeling, Ryoichi marvels at the sheer power he just unleashed. A spectral skull appears beside him as the dark energy begins to turn on him. He coughs up a dark substance, his body racked with pain from the spell. Collapsing, he groans, realizing he is now suffering from the curse of recoil. As he lies amidst the debris, a large screen suddenly materializes before him. A blonde AI appears thanking him for his purchase in initiating the system. The screen flickers with a triangular symbol and ancient-looking text. Ryoichi groans, still reeling from pain, and now bewildered by the AI. He decides to choose the most common option: general household use for the device. The AI confirms his fingerprint, voice print, and iris have been successfully registered. Lying on the ground, he wonders if the AI activated when his power returned. A sudden heavy feeling washes over him as he looks up with renewed dread. His eyes widen in absolute terror and disbelief at the sight before him. An entire squad of identical golems advances, causing him to plead for a break. He looks on in confusion as the approaching golems suddenly halt their advance. The armor giants kneel, explaining the security alert has been lifted. The AI, calling him master, notes his pale complexion and asks if he's all right. He clarifies that he isn't sick, but is dying from a dark magic curse. From her screen, the AI states her analysis has identified a potential solution. Ryoichi's eyes widen in surprise as she mentions one of his abilities. A description explains the God-class adaptation technique, which nullifies abnormal conditions. A flashback shows the man who gave him his powers, Shirahito, in profile. Steam rises from Ryoichi's body as he recalls this was his last hope ability. The AI humbly accepts his praise and asks if she can do anything else. Ryoichi asks what else is in the shrine. The AI reports 6 vehicles. She explains magic armored machine was written on a stone monument. The vehicles were stored for shipment many years ago for unknown reasons. She apologizes for her lack of memory, explaining she is a new startup. Ryoichi reassures her, suggesting memories would have made her lonely. He smiles, saying it's fine if she doesn't know to spare her loneliness. The AI's eye softens as she promises she will be back. She looks at him gently, looking forward to his next visit. As he walks away, Ryoichi scratches his head, wondering if she seemed happy. He steps through a glowing hexagonal doorway, leaving the control room behind. His eyes widen in shock at the incredible sight that greets him. A massive futuristic mech stands before him, and he exclaims in awe. Sometime later, Ryoichi sits in the next cockpit outdoors looking down. A group of villagers led by Gio stare up in disbelief at the machine. Ryoichi explains from the cockpit that it's broken and needs maintenance. 2 villagers puzzle over the ancient script. Amazed Ryoichi can read it. He asks if he should report it, but Gio insists it now belongs to him. Gio asks if he can fix it. Ryoichi recalls working on machines with his dad. Gio declares that if humans made it, their intuition should be enough to fix it. Ryoichi stands atop the mech, diligently working on its complex machinery. He looks down from his work, exclaiming in surprise at what he sees. Two young women, Marie and Nasir, stare up at the machine in amazement. Ryoichi wonders why Marie and the other woman have come to the guild. Nasir introduces herself and explains Marie was worried about Ryoichi's long hours. Gio laughs heartily, confirming Ryoichi has been playing with his new thing. Another woman clarifies they came to invite the craftsman on a tour. Ryoichi, holding a power drill, questions the idea of a dwarven village tour. Nasir explains they gather people every 4 months for the reassuring group journey. Gio grins, having just received a wood delivery request from the same village. 4 days later, the group of craftsmen and women travel through a forest. One of them reminisces about his days at the forest school. A woman with glasses warns that monsters might not be their only threat. Gio's expression hardens as he senses danger, noting its quick arrival. A horde of grotesque monsters appears, surrounding the group in an instant. Gio roars at the others to grab their weapons and fight back. A red-haired woman calls for ranged support from archers and mages. Marie clutches a frying pan, steeling herself to join the fight. She lets out a piercing scream as a vicious monster lunges at her. Ryoichi intercepts the monster with a devastating kick, saving Marie. He gently tells the grateful girl to move further into the formation. Surveying the battlefield, he notes the overwhelming number of enemies surrounding them. He raises his hand, gathering crackling energy to unleash lightning magic. With a powerful shout, he commands the lightning to spread and engulf the horde. The monsters are electrocuted, and a companion calls the victory a piece of cake. His guildmates ask, in surprise, if he is a magician. He theorizes the monsters leveled up by defeating a golem and absorbing its power. Gio declares he won't be outdone and prepares to unleash his earth magic. A fissure opens in the earth as a small creature cries out an alarm. That evening, the group praises Ryoichi's useful item box around a campfire. The campfire crackles, casting a warm glow on the relaxed adventurers. Ryoichi explains that his ability keeps the meat and vegetables fresh for cooking. A spread of fresh ingredients is shown: meat, vegetables, bread, cheese, and an egg. Ryoichi thoughtfully chews, finding the bread hard and the other food poorly seasoned. An idea strikes him as he realizes he can improve the meal with a new combination. Ryoichi outlines his plan to prepare a special salad involving bread, meat, and cheese. Using his item box ability, he magically summons a bottle of Caesar dressing. With a flourish, he proudly presents the finished Caesar salad, announcing it is ready. 2 of the women in his party look at the dish with curiosity, remarking on the unusual preparation. One of the women takes a tentative bite of the salad with her fork. Her eyes light up with delight as she and her friend exclaim how delicious it is. A friend is shocked to see Master Gio, a man who famously hates vegetables, heartily enjoying the salad. The entire group immediately swarms Ryoichi, clamoring for him to sell them the dressing. A young woman vows to treasure the bottle he gives her, but he tells her to use it soon. A woman with glasses asks if it's truly okay to sell so much of the special dressing. With a shrewd smile, she notes to herself that this new product smells like a profitable venture. Later that evening, the group rests peacefully at their campsite under a dark, cloudy sky. Their journey eventually brings them to the formidable stone walls of Duos, the dwarf village. Ryoichi observes the well-maintained stone road which leads to the public capital of Claver. A cheerful woman with her arms outstretched welcomes them to the Mountain Spring Inn. After settling in, Gio announces their next stop is the Dwarven branch of the Carpenter Guild. Inside, Gio presents the Guildmaster's timber cut estimate to a guild official. The official, studying a document, makes an earnest request for them to cut more trees this year. Gio is delighted by the news of more work, agreeing to inform someone named Kokis. The official explains that a new magic Orbane has made the smithing and stoneworking guilds extremely busy. He tells them to pick up their order, and a large pile of firewood and furniture appears instantly. Gio lets out a hearty laugh, impressed by the quick delivery made possible by the item box. With free time before a party, the officials suggest they should go do some sightseeing. The group splits up with some planning dates while Ryoichi decides to walk around by himself. He pulls out his glowing universal map, feeling that everyone is on their own now. His plan is to sell materials at the Adventurers Guild and visit local shops in the large village. Soon he arrives before the impressive stone facade of the Adventurers Guild building. A mustachioed guild official examines the pile of monster parts, noting they will take time to dismantle. He is stunned to identify the materials as belonging to a rare phantom golem from an advanced dungeon. The official eagerly recommends Ryoichi join the Adventurers Guild, but Ryoichi clarifies he's new. He is pleased to have so easily obtained the ranky-adventure ID he wanted. As he walks away, he overhears a desperate voice pleading to be allowed to mine magic ore. He sees a young red-haired girl on her knees, begging two miners who gruffly turn her away. The girl, with tears in her eyes, desperately insists that she is willing to do anything. Ryoichi, concerned by the scene, approaches a nearby vendor to ask what is happening. The vendor explains the girl's father recently died in a landslide, leaving her with a massive debt. An ominous image depicts her grim fate, a life of slavery under the divine punishment of Byasama. Ryoichi is shocked, questioning how they could possibly enslave such a small child. The vendor explains the debt is 250 gold coins, an impossible sum for her to cover on her own. She adds that the girl has a sixth sister whose expensive medical treatments she must also pay for. In a cruel twist of fate, the very collapse that killed her father led to the discovery of the magic ore. The vendor speculates this is why the girl is obsessed with the ore, trying to atone for her father's sins. She explains the girl even took the Masonry Guild test but was rejected for lacking the strength. Ryoichi listens to the entire tragic story, his expression growing somber and thoughtful. He watches the girl collapse to the ground in utter despair, completely defeated. The sight triggers a painful memory of his own desperation after losing his father. He recalls how back then no one had offered him any help or support. Seeing his past suffering reflected in her, he turns and walks away with new purpose. His face is set with a look of firm resolve, having made a decision. He arrives at the large arch doors of the Masonry Guild building. The scene shows a sprawling mining operation built into the side of a cliff, bustling with activity. As the sun begins to set, the girl stands alone by a fence, feeling hopeless about her situation. With tears in her eyes, she whispers a heartfelt apology to her late father. A voice calls out, and she turns to see Ryoichi approaching her from behind. He holds up a small card, explaining it took a while to get, and suggests they go together. With a wink, he reflects that since this world saved him, it is now his turn to act. The girl stares in disbelief, recognizing the card as an official Masonry Guild pass. Together they arrive at the entrance to Mine 6, where a guard demands to see their guild card. A foreman greets Ryoichi, asking if this is his first time and who his companion is. The girl, Mayor, gives a small polite bow as Ryoichi looks on calmly. Another miner is surprised, questioning who would actually let Mayor accompany them into the mine. Mayor feels a wave of gratitude, wondering what would have become of her without Ryoichi's help. The foreman looks at them with a somber, sympathetic, and slightly weary expression. He offers his sincere condolences for her father's death and her family's heartbreaking situation. He warns her that the mine is dangerous and not a good place to try and relieve debt. They enter the dark, foreboding mine, the wooden support beams creaking ominously. Inside, the cavern is filled with rough-looking miners arguing and shoving one another. Two miners are nose to nose on the verge of a full-blown fight over their place in line. The foreman sighs grimly, telling them that it has been this chaotic for a while now. A wider view shows the miners' constant conflict, fueled by dreams of making a fortune. The foreman hands Ryoichi a simple map explaining where the magic ore was discovered. Mayor sits dejectedly, lamenting that the chaos inside is just as bad as it was at the entrance. Ryoichi realizes that at this rate, any ore they manage to find will have to be fought for. He suggests they cross-reference his map with her special omnipotent map to find a better location. He asks with genuine curiosity what an all-purpose map is as Mayor presents it. Mayor is shocked to see the map's glowing lines begin to move and redraw themselves before her eyes. Ryoichi is amazed by its accuracy, which is far superior to the simple map he was given. A sudden, brilliant realization dawns on Mayor as she studies the dynamic chart. A flashback shows a younger Mayor kneeling on the ground and drawing in the dirt with a stick. She wistfully thinks to herself how much easier things would be with a map like Ishikawa-san's. She holds up her Leto father's research documents on the properties of magic ore. Using this knowledge, she analyzes the aura's special traits in the geological strata. The magical map finishes its complex calculations, glowing with a final definitive result. Mayor excitedly points to a location, announcing that she has predicted a massive ore vein in their mind. Ryoichi is impressed by her discovery, praising her for being so smart, much to her surprise. Flustered by the compliment, she insists that it's impossible to actually reach that point. She explains that they would need to excavate a completely new, uncharted route to get there. Ryoichi acknowledges the challenge as it's just the two of them and they have no tools. The word tools hangs in the air for a moment, catching Mayer's attention. Ryoichi asks if she needs tools like pickaxes, a new idea beginning to form in his mind. He dramatically summons a pickaxe from his magical item selection screen, presenting it to her. With a confident smile, he explains that he has all the tools they could possibly need. Mayer, however, looks at the simple tool with skepticism, finding it unreliable for the task. Ryoichi gets a new idea and tells her to move to a safer location for what he plans next. He instructs her to stay away from him as he prepares to summon something much larger. His item box interface shows various tools before he selects a large armored vehicle. With a tremendous roar and a cloud of dust, a massive machine materializes in the cavern. A bipedal armored vehicle on heavy tank treads now stands before them, dwarfing them both. Mayer stares up at the colossal machine in utter shock and disbelief, asking what this thing is. Ryoichi is already climbing into the cockpit, explaining it's a magic armored vehicle from some ruins. Seated in the cockpit, Ishikawa expresses his uncertainty about the massive machine's functionality. With a low hum, the vehicle's console and cockpit begin to flicker to life. He looks over with a confident smile, telling his companion to hold on tight. Standing outside, a nervous Mayer asks if he truly intends to pilot this thing. After pulling her into the cockpit, he declares that it's time to start digging. The magic armored vehicle lurches forward with a powerful roar of its engine. Mayer cries out in a mix of terror and exhilaration, clinging to his shoulders. With immense force, the machine's arm smashes through a solid rock wall. It relentlessly carves a new path, sending debris and dust flying in its wake. Mayer, jostled by the intense vibrations, wonders what on earth is happening. The vehicle continues its powerful excavation, boring deep into the earth. Ishikawa marvels at its ability to reinforce the tunnel walls as it digs. Leaning against him, an exhausted Mayer confesses she feels tired despite doing nothing. She drifts off for a moment, the fatigue of the day catching up. With her eyes closed, she apologizes out of habit for her weariness. Ishikawa gently suggests she should rest, noting the constant stress she's been under. Startled awake, she insists she must stay with him because of her circumstances. He points out their journey will take an hour, proposing they eat in the meantime. From his item box, he produces a box of sister donut and other foods. Mayer is immediately captivated by the sweet, pleasant aroma wafting from the box. He explains the treats are called donuts, and she thinks they look absolutely delicious. She swallows hard, trying to hide her intense craving for the sweets. Mary insists she isn't hungry and is fine, turning away from the box. Her stomach growls loudly, betraying her hunger and causing her to blush deeply. He kindly asks if she would prefer something else, but she stammers a denial. Her expression turns sorrowful as she explains she can't allow herself a good time. She recalls her father's struggles and her sister Moa's debilitating illness. The weight of her guilt for being away from her suffering family is immense. Ishikawa realizes with empathy that she is trapped in a cycle of self-blame. A sudden, violent tremor shakes the vehicle, bringing it to a dead stop. The machine ceases all movement, and an anxious Mayer asks what's wrong. Inside the now silent cockpit, both are startled by the sudden loss of power. Ishikawa tries the controls again, but they are completely unresponsive. A gauge on a console flashes, its needle pointing definitively to empty. He stares in disbelief, realizing with a jolt that it's a fuel meter. The grim reality sinks in. They are completely and utterly out of fuel. Stranded deep underground, the situation suddenly seems hopeless. Mayer is immediately overwhelmed with guilt, blaming herself for their predicament. She bows her head in despair, believing she brings misfortune to everyone. With tears in her eyes, she lists her family and now Ishikawa as her victims. He turns to her, his expression serious, asking why she blames herself so much. A memory surfaces of his own past despair after losing his father in store. He recalls how his own self-blame did nothing to change his situation. In that dark time, he remembers a single hand of opportunity held out to him. The memory solidifies his resolve. Once you grab a lifeline, you never let go. With newfound determination, he places his hand on the vehicle's power source. The massive machine roars back to life, its engine humming with renewed power. Its cockpit lights up, signaling the return of all its systems. Mayor Gasson's shock and relief, exclaiming that the vehicle moved. Ishikawa realizes the vehicle runs on magic and pours his own energy into it. The magic-armored vehicle surges forward once more, continuing its journey. They soon encounter a final obstacle, a wall of extremely hard rock. Mayer warns him that they've reached a layer of particularly tough bedrock. He decides to concentrate all his magical energy for a full power attack. A deafening crash echoes as they break through the final barrier. They emerge into a breathtaking cavern filled with glittering magic ore. With their goal finally reached, Ishikawa announces it's time to start mining. He gently places a miner's helmet on Mayer's head to protect her. He explains it's a helmet from his hometown, emphasizing the importance of safety. Mayer blushes, remarking that, for some reason, he sounds just like a father. Together, they begin harvesting the valuable crystals with renewed energy and purpose. The scene shifts to the moneylender's grand office in a nearby town. A portly moneylender dismisses Mayer, telling her she cannot change her fate. He declares that his contract with the god of currency is absolute and unchangeable. In response, Mayer presents a massive glittering pile of gold coins. The moneylender's jaw drops, demanding to know how she acquired such a fortune. Later he speaks with Ryoichi, learning he helped Mary mine the ore. The man questions Ryoichi's decision to give away all the money. He reflects on the divine punishment he has seen in his line of business. He thinks of Mayer's cruel fate, noting she was once ruthless herself. He expresses his surprise that someone as soft-hearted as Ryoichi exists. In a grand temple, he offers a prayer to the god of currency, Lord Bees. Outside, Mayer struggles to find the words to thank Ryoichi, overwhelmed with gratitude. He humbly credits her with finding the ore bean, praising her determination. Touched by his kindness, Mayer looks at him with tears welling in her eyes. Ryoichi insists she used the money for living expenses, feeling he got too much. She exclaims that he is far too soft-hearted for his own good. With tears of relief, she says, being free and together with Moa is enough. She leads Ryoichi through a grassy field, guiding him toward their home. She invites him inside so her sister can properly thank him as well. Upon entering, Ryoichi observes that the house is clean, but completely bare. Mayer explains with a sad smile that she was forced to sell everything. This included her late father's books and cherished family mementos. She approaches a wooden door, calling out to her sister inside. A small, frail girl named Moa appears in the doorway, holding a candle. Mayer introduces Ryoichi as the one whose help allowed them to pay their debts. Lying weakly in bed, Moa asks if the debt is truly gone. Her pale, blemished face shows a mixture of disbelief and dawning hope. Ryoichi's expression hardens as he recognizes the severity of her illness. Overjoyed, Moa realizes that she and her sister will not be separated. Mayer tells her it is all thanks to Ryoichi's help. Moa looks at him with pure gratitude, offering a heartfelt thank you. He kindly greets her and asks if he can try some recovery magic. Focusing his energy, he summons a swirling ball of water magic in his palm. With a determined cry, he casts the heal water spell upon the sick girl. The magic water sizzles and evaporates the moment it touches Mo's skin. Ryoichi is shocked, questioning if the spell was somehow nullified or drowned out. He wonders if a specific kind of antidote magic is required for her condition. Mayer explains they only wanted to thank him, not burden him further. She reveals that even expensive elixirs meant for nobles had no effect on Moa. Realizing the girl's sickness is severe, Ryoichi decides this is no ordinary disease. He activates his God-class appraisal to analyze her condition. The results shock him. She is suffering from an advanced curse seal. A jolt of recognition hits him as he recalls a similar curse from the giant soldier's shrine. He pulls out a dark grimoire, hoping to find a solution within its pages. The book opens to reveal ominous illustrations of skulls, spiders, and anatomical hearts. He scans the text, searching for a way to break the curse. Frustrated, he realizes the book contains only offensive magic, offering no cure. Despite the setback, he tells the girl's sister, Mayer, that he has an idea. He begins to cast a spell from the book, Advanced Dark Magic. With a surge of power, he unleashes the spell, Drain, at the afflicted girl. The dark energy swirls violently around the sick girl, Moa. Ryoichi explains that the technique was originally meant to absorb an opponent's power. The spell targets the grotesque eye-shaped curse mark on Mo's chest. A monstrous, shadowy entity composed of countless eyeballs is drawn from her body. The horrifying curse then flows directly into Ryoichi, who stands ready to receive it. Mayer watches in terror as Ryoichi absorbs the dark energy. She cries out his name in alarm, her face a mask of shock. Ryoichi coughs up a spray of dark blood as the curse takes hold. He now understands the immense suffering Moa has been enduring. The curse's power makes his body feel heavy as his consciousness begins to fade. However, he recalls a special ability that was provided to him by a god. He activates the god-class adaptation technique, purging the curse from his body. Mayor rushes to his side asking if he's okay, and he reassures her with a laugh. Steam rises from Moa's bed as the last vestiges of the curse dissipate. Ryoichi confirms that the curse mark on Mo is finally gone. He is now confident that his recovery magic will be effective. He casts heal water, and a brilliant light envelops the young girl. The magical energy flows over her, washing away the sickness. Moa stirs, her eyes fluttering open in confusion. She realizes with wonder that her pain, numbness, and fever have vanished. With a burst of energy, she leaps from the bed, fully restored. She exclaims in amazement at how light and wonderful her body feels. Her sister, Mayor, stares in disbelief, questioning if she is truly cured. Moa beams, confirming that she feels wonderful. Tears of overwhelming relief well up in Mayor's eyes. The two sisters embrace in a tight, joyous hug. Mayor turns to Ryoichi, struggling to find the words to thank him. Ryoichi smiles warmly, genuinely glad he could help them. His relief is quickly followed by a pang of hunger. He summons cooking supplies from his item box, deciding to make them a meal. The sisters stare in astonishment at the unfamiliar tools and ingredients. Ryoichi skillfully begins to prepare the food. He explains it's a dish his father used to make when he was sick. The sound of sizzling meat and boiling noodles fills the small room. He proudly announces that his favorite meatball, udon, is ready. The sisters' eyes sparkle as they take in the delicious aroma of the udon. Moa eats with gusto, much to her sister's surprise. She happily declares that she wants more. Mayor tries the udon herself. Her expression won't appear to light. She exclaims that the dish is incredibly delicious. After they finish the pot, Ryoichi reassures them he can make more. He then offers them a box of sister donuts for dessert. Mayor recognizes the donuts from a previous encounter. She takes a bite of the sweet treat. Moa, seeing her sister enjoying the donut, asks if she can have one too. The two sisters happily munch on their donuts. Overcome with emotion, Mayor tearfully asked Ryoichi why he's so kind. Ryoichi looks at her with a gentle, understanding expression. He explains that in his world, children are to be protected, and he felt jealous of her devotion. With a sad smile, he reveals that he no longer has a family of his own. The sisters are stunned into silence by his revelation. Mayor scolds Moa for calling him poor Ryoichi and apologizes. Moa reasons that if someone is lonely, they will die. She brightly declares she will marry Ruchi to become his family, shocking him. Mayor points out that Moa is only 7, and asks what she's talking about. Moa retorts that a picture book said they could become family. She then throws her arms around Ryoichi, declaring she'll be his little sister. Ryoichi and Mayor are flustered by Moa's forwardness. Ryoichi softens, patting Moa's head and welcoming her as a cute little sister. Later that night, Ryoichi decides it's time to head back to his inn. He stands alone in the moonlight, preparing to leave. Mayor's voice urgently calls out for him to wait. She approaches him and asks about his future plans. Ryoichi explains he will be returning to EA's village in a few days. He reveals he's on a journey and will travel far away again, making Mayor realize they must part. Mayor's face fills with sadness at the thought of saying goodbye. She makes what she calls a shameless request. She asked him to take her and Moa with him on his journey. Ryoichi is shocked and immediately refuses, stating his journey is too dangerous. Marin insists that they can protect themselves. She passionately declares her desire to be useful to him in return. Ryoichi reiterates that he cannot put them in such grave danger. Mayor looks downcast, acknowledging that her request is a nuisance. The mood is heavy as Ryoichi stands firm in his refusal. Moa appears from the bushes asking if her Ryoichi Nichan is leaving. Understanding the situation, Moa throws herself at Ryoichi, shouting that she doesn't want him to go. She defiantly proclaims that she will go with him. Mayor apologizes for Mo's outburst, admitting what started as a joke has become serious. With tears in her eyes, Mary confesses that she feels the same way as her sister. Ryoichi looks down at them, worried about leaving the two orphans without a guardian. He reflects on his own lost family, wondering if this is the meaning of his second life. With new resolve, he turns to them and asks if they are truly serious. Both girls eagerly plead with him to let them come. Ryoichi's expression hardens as he makes his final decision. He joyfully agrees, declaring that from that day forward, they are a family. The next morning, Ryoichi arrives at the lodge where his friend Yamano-senka is staying. He announces to his surprised friends that he now has a family. His friends questioned him for missing the party and returning so late. They inform him that his master, Gio, is passed out from drinking too much. Ryoichi stands before a large wooden door, offering to introduce his new family to everyone. The two young girls, Mary and Moa, nervously present themselves as Ryoichi's new family. Three of Ryoichi's companions stare in utter shock at the unexpected announcement. His friends surround him, demanding an explanation for the beautiful new girl in his life. Moa happily explains that after losing their father, Ryoichi adopted them as his sisters. The men look at Ryoichi, still struggling to process the news of his new sisters. After a moment of quiet contemplation, the reality of the situation seems to sink in. His friends point out that becoming a legal guardian involves dealing with tax money issues. At the magistrate's residence, Ryoichi is told the Villar family has significant overdue taxes. A witch hat-wearing official asks if it's even possible to pay the outstanding debt. In response, a massive, glittering pile of gold coins is presented with a thud. The astonished official enthusiastically stamps the paperwork, granting immediate permission for the adoption. Ryoichi explains he paid their taxes for the next decade to ensure easy approval. He tells a concerned mayor that the money rightfully belonged to her family anyway. Mayor is deeply moved, whispering her late father's name with a somber expression. Moa reassures her that there's no need to worry now that she's Ryoichi's family. A blushing mayor happily agrees, as Moa cheers that her big sister is now his. As Ryoichi walks with Maru, two girls spot them, exclaiming that he's on a date. The two friends, Marie and Nasir, playfully accuse him of flirting in broad daylight. Ryoichi is surprised to see his friends, Maria and Nasir, confronting him. He becomes flustered, insisting to Marie that their outing is not a date. Marie laughs, revealing she was just kidding, and had heard the real story from friends. Moa cheerfully introduces herself as a 7-year-old, while Mayor shyly follows suit. Maria Nasir looks at the girls with a mixture of sympathy and concern. They are charmed by Mayor's beautiful hair, understanding why Ryoichi would want her as a sister. Now see your notes, Mayor's worn-out clothes, and decides they will pick out a new outfit. For the quiet Mayor, they choose a light and lively adventurer's outfit. The energetic Mo is given a cute, girly dress that perfectly suits her personality. Ryoichi hastily stores the many bags in his item box as the girls decide to look for accessories. Moa spots a bookstore and eagerly exclaims her desire to go inside. She tugs on Ryoichi's sleeve, asking her big brother to take her to the bookstore. A friendly shopkeeper with cat ears welcomes them, offering guild members a discount. Ryoichi recognizes that the shop is a chain similar to the one in EA's village. Inside, he browses specialized books on blacksmithing and masonry magic. Mayor looks up from a stack of books, her attention suddenly captured by something. Ryoichi finds a book he believes as a treasure adults would normally overlook. He discovers an advanced lightning magic scroll, much to his surprise and interest. Moa finds a picture book she loves, her face lighting up with a happy smile. She gets a piggyback ride, joyfully celebrating the picture book Ryoichi bought her. Marie observes that Ryoichi has become a proper older brother, but Nasir thinks he's more like a father. The next day, Ryoichi and Mare are seen working together on the roof of the Veiler family home. He skillfully uses a power tool to hammer nails, making repairs to the roof. With the leaks fixed, Ryoichi sighs in relief as the girls cheer their success. Moa eagerly presents her new book, asking Ryoichi to read it to her. The book tells a story of a hero from another world rescuing a captive princess. Ryoichi sits with the two girls, finding it ironic to read a fantasy story in another world. An illustration shows the hero using a magical device to break the princess's cage. Ryoichi is stunned, recognizing the tool as a chainsaw from his own world. To his surprise, Mare confirms that the fantastical places in the book are real. She describes the Centurious Tree Kingdom, a city built around a colossal tree. Ryoichi realizes there is still much he doesn't know about this new world. The story ends with the hero and princess marrying and living happily ever after. Ryoichi realizes he needs to return soon or his master will be angry about the party. He looks down to find that both Mare and Mo have fallen asleep on him. Later, Ryoichi looks at a photo of his father, quietly telling him he now has a family, holding a beer. He wonders if this makes the girls his father's granddaughters too. He reflects on the strange feeling of having something precious to protect. Watching the girls sleep peacefully, he concludes that this new life is not bad at all. Ryoichi finally returns to his friends at the guild hall, apologizing for his absence. His master, Gio, sits in silence, his expression unreadable and stern. Gio turns angrily, demanding to know why Ryoichi missed the party and stayed out all night. Ryoichi is taken aback by his master's sudden and intense anger. Before he can answer, Mayor steps forward to apologize, taking the blame. The girls explain that they fell asleep, preventing their Ryoichi Nissan from going home. Gio is taken aback by the sudden appearance of the two young girls. His disciples remind him that they explained last night that Ryoichi had adopted them. Gio admits he was too drunk to remember being told about his new sisters. His anger melts away, and he warmly greets the girls, calling them his nieces. Moa responds with a cheerful smile, and Gio makes a goofy, affectionate face at her. His disciples sigh, remarking that their master has already become a strange uncle. Maria Nasir asks the girls if they will be living in the village with them. Moa happily announces that they will be following Ryoichi on his trip. The two women look on in surprise, not expecting this turn of events. The news reaches Gio, who turns with a look of disbelief, questioning the journey. He confronts Ryoichi, sternly asking if he is seriously planning on quitting their guild. Ryoichi confirms he is going on a journey to learn more about the world. Gio's face hardens, a silent and disappointed expression settling on his features. He angrily expresses his deep disappointment, feeling real, which he believes he has nothing left to learn. Turning his back, Gio coldly tells Ryoichi to do as he pleases, refusing to stop him. Ryoichi looks downcast, murmuring an apology and wishing he could explain his true intentions. He reassures a worried Moa, telling her it's okay and that he didn't mean anything bad. Mayor stands before him, her expression sad as she asks if they are leaving tomorrow. With earnest eyes, Mara urges Ryoichi to make up with his master before they depart. He watches the girls walk away, quietly apologizing for making them worry about him. A friend places a reassuring hand on his shoulder, explaining that Gio is just lonely. The others gather around him, admitting they too feel lonely about his impending departure. At his farewell party, Ryoichi wonders if Master Gio, who is absent, is still upset. He expresses hope that his master will come later, but is told not to worry. A friend presents a heavy cloth wrap bundle explaining that Master Gio sent it for him. Unwrapping it, Ryoichi is stunned to find a magnificent, expertly crafted combat axe. The axe was forged by a famous dwarf, a special request from Gio for Ryoichi. Overwhelmed by the gesture, Ryoichi softly speaks his master's name in gratitude. The next morning, the group gathers at the village gate, ready for their journey. The girls cheer with excitement, eager to begin their trip to EA's village. The group of adventurers armed with axes makes their way through a rocky path. Mo is excited to see EA's village while Mayor tells her to hold on tight. One of the girls asks Ryoichi if she and her sister are too heavy for him. He reassures them they are lightweight, especially since Moa is still recovering from an illness. Mayor happily says the cart is fun, feeling like a magic armored mecha to her. Having made up with her own friends, Mayor turns her thoughts to Ryoichi's unresolved conflict. With a sad smile, Ryoichi admits that he couldn't do it himself. He thinks about Gio, wishing he could have thanked him for the axe. Suddenly, Gio's sharp voice commands everyone to be quiet. Ryoichi is startled by the urgent tone, his expressions shifting to high alert. The two young girls, Mary and Moa, wonder if Gio is angry. From their cliffside path, Ryoichi realizes they are completely surrounded by enemies. A fearsome pack of monstrous beasts emerges, led by a massive anteater-like creature. Ryoichi quickly considers using his advanced lightning magic on the entire horde. Before he can act, Gio steps forward, his body glowing with immense power. The master's eyes widen with intense focus and grim determination. He roars, slamming his open palms onto the ground with incredible force. The earth beneath the monsters cracks and shatters from the impact. The entire cliff face collapses, sending the beast plummeting into the chasm. Ryoichi and the girls stare in utter amazement at the devastating display of power. A fellow disciple wryly comments that this is their master when he gets serious. After surviving the ambush, the group continues their journey through the woods. They discover a previously used campsite and decide to stay there for the night. The disciples begin to set up their tents and prepare a fire for the evening. Ryoichi notices Mary and Moa sitting together, looking worried about something. He approaches them, asking what is wrong and why they seem so concerned. Moa explains that her older sister, Mara, has something to worry about. Mayor points out unnatural hollows in animal bones, suggesting they are giant monster tracks. Inspecting the massive footprint, Ryoichi agrees it's far too large for a normal creature. He approaches his master, stating that he needs to speak with him urgently. Gio dismisses him, saying they can talk after they return to the village. Turning his back, Gio claims he is clumsy and not in the mood to talk. He walks away, leaving Ryoichi standing alone and frustrated in the forest. Resigned, Ryoichi decides he will have to warn the other disciples instead. A fellow adventurer dismisses the threat, saying a campground should be safe. The others ignore the warning, teasing Ryoichi about his cute little sister. Ryoichi looks weary, postponing a conversation with his friend Katsuta. Later that night, the camp is quiet beneath a sky full of stars. Inside a tent, Mary sleeps fitfully, her brow furrowed with worry. She is suddenly jolted awake by a powerful sense of unease. By the dim light of a lantern, she studies a map spread on the floor. Moa wakes up, rubbing her eyes and asking her sister why she can't sleep. Mary explains she has a bad feeling after checking Ryoichi's universal map. She reveals that the map of the mountains is strangely and constantly changing. With panic in her voice, she urges the other girls to wake everyone up. Her eyes are wide with shock and fear at her ominous discovery. In her haste, she grabs a pan and lid to sound the alarm. The loud clanging rouses the other disciples who grumble about the noise. Still in their pajamas, the girls frantically ask where Master Gio is. Ryoichi notices Gio's empty sleeping bag, realizing he isn't in his tent. Mayor and another girl turn to Ryoichi. Their face is filled with concern. A disciple explains that Gio was just on his way to take the night watch. Standing watch alone, Ryoichi hopes Mayor's hunch is wrong. A sudden gust of wind and a flapping sound startle him. He looks up in shock as a magnificent griffin descends from the sky. The creature's powerful wings beat the air, scattering feathers as it lands. Elsewhere, Gio sits alone under the starry sky, lost in his thoughts. He takes a long, pensive drink from a metal flask. His solitude is broken by Moa's voice calling out his name. She runs up, breathlessly warning him that a big monster is on its way. Gio calmly acknowledges the warning, telling her he will be there soon. He rises to his feet, his expression now serious and fully alert. As they walk back, he reassures Moa that he will handle the monsters. Moa looks up at him, a worried and hesitant expression on her face. She quietly asks if he hates his brother, Ryoichi. Gio pauses, thoughtfully explaining that his feelings are not so simple. He confesses his frustration at not having taught his disciple anything of value yet. A shadow suddenly falls over them as a griffin swoops from the sky. Recognizing the threat, Gio shoves Moa behind him and brandishes his axe. A second griffin descends with a piercing cry, its talons extended for an attack. Gio meets the creature's charge, swinging his massive axe in a powerful arc. Ryoichi arrives on the scene, calling out his master's name in concern. Gio apologizes for moving too fast and missing his initial strike. He grimly notes that flying monsters are always troublesome to fight. Dismissing Ryoichi's offer of help, he charges back into the fight alone. His axe connects with the brutal slash, drawing a spray of the griffin's blood. The wounded monster lets out a final screech as it flees into the woods. Ryoichi points out that the beast is heading directly towards their camp. Before they can pursue, a new terrifying sound echoes through the forest. A piercing roar from a different direction signals an even greater threat. Gio recognizes the monster's screams and pinpoints their location with dread. His face contorts in shock and disbelief at what he has just heard. Turning his back, he orders Ryoichi to take Moa and get the villagers away. Ryoichi and Moa are stunned by his sudden engraved command. Ryoichi protests, insisting he will stay and fight alongside his master. Gio cuts him off, shouting that he is an idiot for suggesting it. He explains that someone must stay behind as a decoy to buy time. A monstrous, blood-soaked face with glowing eyes pierce through the leaves. Its massive clawed paw is covered in the gore of its recent kill. The creature lets out a terrifying guttural roar from its toothy maw. The full horror is revealed, a colossal, bear-like beast over the griffin's corpse. Its massive foot stomps down with incredible force, shaking the very ground. Ryoichi stares in terror, activating his appraisal skill on the new foe. The appraisal reveals it's a level 68 Shout Bear King with immense power. Gio recognizes it as the guardian of the mountain, far from its territory. He begins giving Ryoichi what sound like his last worldly instructions. Resigned to the chaos, he tells his disciple not to look down on the world. Spreading his arms wide, Gio summons two glowing magic circles in his hands. The Shout Bear King roars as the ground begins to tremble and rise. Gio channels his immense power into the earth, preparing a massive attack. He gives a final determined command for his disciple, Ryoichi, to go. Ryoichi and Moa watch in horror, begging him not to die. Ryoichi grits his teeth, vowing to follow his master's order to protect everyone. He flees through the dark forest, carrying the small girl in his arms. The moon is obscured by dark clouds as he races towards safety. Reaching the rest of the group, they call out his and Mo's names in relief. After his master's sacrifice, Ryoichi stands with a grim, silent expression. Stepping forward, he urges the panicked villagers to calm down and listen to him. One of the men struggles, wanting to help Master Geo despite the mortal danger. Another villager resigns himself, suggesting they can only pray for their master's escape. Ryoichi turns to Mir, apologizing for not listening and asking for a favor. Seated inside a large machine, Mary nervously questions if she can really pilot it. He explains the modifications he made, entrusting her with the villager's escape. Clutching the manual, Mayer agrees to try her best to operate the vehicle. She finds the ancient script difficult but barely comprehensible thanks to its illustrations. The massive magic-armored vehicle lurches forward, beginning its frantic escape. The villagers in the cargo hold are utterly shocked by the vehicle's incredible speed. A child praises Mayer's skill, while Mayer worries about their remaining fuel supply. She instructs the others to pour their magic into the spare fuel tank. A villager questions why Mary is piloting the vehicle instead of Ryoichi. Mayer begins to explain the reason for Ryoichi's sudden absence. Another girl reveals Ryoichi has multiple vehicles and promised he would follow them. Back in the forest, the grievously wounded Geo is slumped against a tree. His eyes are wide with shock, his body battered and bleeding heavily. The colossal Shout-Bear King looms over him, its aura dark and menacing. It opens its jaws, preparing to deliver the final devastating blow. A powerful impact sound effect fills the panel with a sense of violence. Ryoichi arrives in another mech, vowing to protect his newly declared family. His combat-oriented magic-armored vehicle stands ready for the coming battle. Using his appraisal ability, he confirms the monster's terrifyingly high level. He curses the massive power gap between his level 24 and the bear's. From his cockpit, he defiantly tells the king to go hide in a cave. A status screen details the Shout-Bear King's immense level 68 stats. Ryoichi feels the impact of his first strike, hoping their power is now matched. His eye widens in sudden, shocked realization of a new threat. A new status reveals the injured bear's attack power has actually increased. The enraged monster lunges forward, its claws crackling with dark energy. Ryoichi's mech intercepts the attack with its powerful metal arm. The mech's hand strains, holding back the immense force of the bear's claw. The bear's overwhelming strength begins to overpower the machine's defenses. The mech stumbles backward, clearly outmatched by the monster's raw power. Ryoichi cries out in astonishment at the beast's insane strength. With a final push, the bear shatters the mech's crack shield. The wounded Geo weakly acknowledges something, creating a brief distraction. The bear roars Ryoichi's name, its focus returning to the ejected pilot. Its eyes glow with malevolent intent as it prepares to strike again. The monster raises its claw, wreathed in dark power for a killing blow. Ryoichi stands atop the smoking wreckage of his damaged mech, ready to fight. He declares he's fine, crediting the axe from Master Geo for his survival. He recalls the moment he used the axe to block the monster's attack. He also remembers landing a slash on the Shout-Bear's body. Examining the weapon, he marvels that there isn't a single nick on it. A vision of Geo proudly praises the axe's fine craftsmanship. He reasons that if physical attacks work, a swarm of them could buy time. He unleashes his god-level clone technique, creating 4 identical copies. The 5 Ryoikus descend upon the monster in a coordinated assault. The Shout-Bear King swats one of the clones, destroying it instantly. Geo, still wounded, rubs his eyes, questioning if he's seeing things. A clone explains that they are a temporary measure and will vanish if defeated. The clone urges his master to escape so they can heal properly. Geo laments the pathetic feeling of being saved by his own disciple. Ryoichi helps his master, wondering if the mech's engine is still operational. The Shout-Bear King suddenly unleashes a torrent of fire from its mouth. Ryoichi expresses his shock that the beast can breathe fire. He immediately realizes the situation has become even more dire. He shoves his master to the ground, yelling for him to take cover. The fiery blast engulfs one of his clones, revealed to be a mechanical golem. Kneeling beside his master, he concludes that fighting is their only option. He recalls the combination of clone and dark magic from a previous battle. With grim determination, he resolves that they have no other choice. Holding a grimoire, he begins an incantation, drawing power from the abyss. The monster charges with terrifying speed, closing the distance instantly. Ryoichi realizes his spell is too slow and will be useless as a delay. The monster's face looms, its eyes glowing with malevolent light. With heavy footfalls, the beast thunders towards its helpless target. Its maw opens wide, revealing rows of sharp teeth as it moves in. A shadowy silhouette of the beast falls over the terrified Ryoichi. A dark, clawed hand slashes through the air with brutal finality. A severed arm is sent flying, spraying blood across the grass. Ryoichi stares in shock at the gushing bloody stump where his arm was. He lets out a scream of pure agony from the horrific injury. He desperately tries to activate his god-level regeneration body to stop the bleeding. His consciousness begins to fade from the massive blood loss. His knees buckle as his strength fails him completely. He collapses onto the grass in a pool of his own blood. Gio watches in horror, crying out his disciple's name. The master can only stare in stunned silence, unable to comprehend the scene. The monster grabs Ryoichi's limp body in its massive clawed paw. It brings the young man towards its drooling, open mouth. Gio screams in rage, charging forward in a desperate, futile attempt. The beast delivers a powerful backhand swipe without even looking. The blow sends Gio flying backward through the air. He cries out in pain as the attack connects squarely with his face. Ryoichi recalls a warning about the ever-present concept of death in this world. A sickening crunch echoes as the beast bites down on his shoulder. The monster holds Ryoichi's mangled body in its jaws, victorious. It prepares to deliver a final, devastating attack. Steam and crackling energy gather in its throat. Ryoichi, in a final act of defiance, shoves his remaining hand forward. He plunges his hand deep into the monster's open maw. A complex magical sigil glows brightly on his palm. A massive surge of lightning erupts, engulfing the beast's entire body. The monster roars in agony as the spell forces it to release Ryoichi. On the ground, Ryoichi once again calls upon his regeneration ability. His arm begins to visibly knit itself back together at an impossible speed. He reflects that he was saved only by the size difference between them. With the Shout Bear King stunned, Ryoichi notes his advanced lightning magic was effective. His gaze then falls upon his master Gio, lying grievously wounded on the ground. Seeing his mentor state, a cold fury ignites in Ryoichi's eyes. Fueled by rage, he leaps forward, raising his axe for a final decisive strike. Lightning crackles around his body as he brings the weapon down with immense force. He roars a command for the beast to face its death as the axe connects. From his position on the ground, the injured Gio groans, watching the battle's climax. His eyes widen in utter disbelief at the incredible display of power he witnesses. The colossal Shout Bear King stumbles, its massive form dissolving into dark sludge. Gio struggles to sit up, unable to believe the fearsome monster is truly gone. Standing alone, Ryoichi turns back to face his stunned master in the quiet clearing. The young warrior stands panting, his axe in hand amidst the beast's fading remains. Gio calls out, asking his disciple if he was the one who defeated the beast. He then points to Ryoichi's left arm, questioning how it's there after being torn off. Ryoichi calmly explains that his original arm is over there, and this one has regenerated. Utterly bewildered, Gio asks about the clones and regeneration, demanding to know who Ryoichi is. A shadow of sadness and regret crosses Ryoichi's face at the question. He apologizes to his master for having to witness something so unsettling. Looking at his new hand, he admits that even to him, the regeneration feels strange. Gio stares at him in stunned silence, processing the impossible revelations. A small sound escapes Gio's lips as his expression begins to shift. The heavy silence is suddenly broken by Gio's booming, unrestrained laughter. Grabbing Ryoichi's arm, he declares that details don't matter. Now they can arm wrestle again. He admits his question was silly, stating that he will be the one to decide who Ryoichi is. With a proud wink, he declares Ryoichi as his savior and his proud apprentice. Ryoichi is visibly moved by his master's heartfelt words of acceptance and camaraderie. Suddenly, a large armored vehicle crashes through the trees, interrupting the moment. Perched atop it, their guild members call out, asking if Ryochenji are all right. Both master and disciple are surprised by the sudden arrival of their comrades. One of the newcomers jokingly complains that Ryoichi was showing off all by himself. The young man with the headband explains he took the villagers to safety before turning back. From the vehicle's cockpit, a young girl tearfully scolds him for wearing his sister's. Another girl apologizes for not keeping her promise, but expresses her relief that he is safe. The two girls rush to him, clinging to him and crying with immense relief. The newly arrived guild members stare in disbelief at the massive slain Shout Bear King. They asked Master Gio how he accomplished such a feat and if Ryoichi helped. Ryoichi grimly admits he was just caught in the moment, losing his arm in the process. A guild member asks about his left arm, hoping it's still there despite the severe bleeding. Ryoichi looks towards the spot where his severed arm lies, a flicker of confusion on his face. A wave of shock hits him as he looks at his own bloody stump. Gio raises Ryoichi's injured arm, proclaiming him the hero who defeated the beast. He secretly tells Ryoichi he used earth magic to dispose of the real arm. Acknowledging their severe injuries, Gio suggests that for now, they should simply rest. Ryoichi quietly thanks his master, surrounded by his two relieved sisters. That night, under a full moon, the IS Village Tavern is open for business. Inside, a man excitedly shares the news that someone defeated the legendary Shout Bear King. Another patron scoffs, declaring it a lie in an impossible feat for any adventurer. At the bar, a woman with fox-like ears and a tailed Coco overhears the conversation. The mention of the Shout Bear piques her interest, her hand pausing over her drink. The skeptical man, noticing her attention, trails off with a nervous apology. Coco turns and politely asks if he could tell her more about the story. The next morning, the sun rises over the rooftops of Yes Village. Sunlight streams into a quiet room, illuminating a simple empty bed. A single eye opens, slowly waking from a deep and healing sleep. Ryoichi sits up, his body covered in bandages, groggily wondering where he is. A commotion outside reveals a crowd of eager villagers trying to see him. The innkeeper, Marisa, stands at the door, pleading for them to let Ryoichi rest. A man in the crowd insists he just wants to thank his savior and hear the story. Marisa firmly states that only people associated with the N are allowed to visit. A woman with glasses, Nasir, cleverly offers priority passes to customers of her store. From his window, Ryoichi watches the scene, recognizing the end as the Forest Spring Pavilion. He sits up in bed, a sudden movement catching his eye. He is surprised to find his two sisters, May and Moa, snuggled up with him. He asked why they are in his bed when there are enough beds for everyone. One of the girls winks playfully, her expression innocent and mischievous. She greets her Ryoichi Nichin with a cheerful and affectionate good morning. He returns their greeting, remarking on how full of energy they are. A third girl, Mare, awakens nearby, clutching a pillow with a flustered expression. Blushing, she apologizes for falling asleep while taking care of him. Ryoichi kindly thanks her and suggests they all go wash their faces. Now dressed, he steps out of his room into the hallway. He overhears two men expressing their disbelief that a pretty boy could defeat the beast. He sighs, reflecting that in a small village rumors spread with incredible speed. As he and the girls descend the stairs, an intense gaze meets them from below. Standing at the bottom is the fox-eared swordswoman from the tavern, Coco. Her eyes are fixed directly on him, her expression sharp and unreadable. Ryoichi feels uneasy, wondering if she is staring or actively glaring at him. The girls, however, are simply excited to see a beast folk and greet her cheerfully. Coco's stern demeanor softens slightly at their innocent greeting. She clears her throat, her expression changing from intimidating to gentle. With a warm smile, she returns their greeting, wishing the young lady a good morning. Ryoichi is surprised by her clear voice, thinking she seems like a nice person. Later, the inn is filled with grateful villagers coming to see him. The innkeeper thanks him, having heard from Marisa that he was her lifesaver. A woman mentions how busy she's been attending to all the visitors. A table is shown overflowing with gifts of food and flowers for Yoichi. He looks at the basket of fresh eggs, touched by the village's gratitude. Ryoichi asks the innkeeper if he can use some space in the kitchen. Soon, a meat patty is sizzling loudly in a hot pan over a stove. The girls eagerly offer to help him by washing the vegetables. The innkeeper marvels at the unfamiliar and expensive-looking seasonings Ryoichi is using. As he cooks, he explains to Moa that this was his father's favorite dish. The final dish is a magnificent, fluffy omelet filled with meat and onions. The onlookers are amazed, wondering how an omelet could be so perfectly fluffy. The tantalizing aroma has also attracted Coco, who watches intently, her nose twitching. Ryoichi notices her and offers her some of the food. Blushing, Coco explains she was drawn by the wonderful scent she'd never encountered. The girls enthusiastically invite her to come and eat with them. Coco was taken aback by the sudden warm invitation from the children. She sits down at the table, surprised to find herself sharing a meal with them. A fox-eared woman closes her eyes, savoring the last bite of her meal. Her eyes snap open in pure delight, a blush spreading across her cheeks. She marvels at the sauce's rich aroma and deep, complex, hidden flavor. When Ryoichi confirms it's soy sauce, she excitedly says it would suit her homeland's food. With a smile, Ryoichi muses that its Japanese vibe must suit her palate. Having finished eating, she formally introduces herself as the adventurer, Coco Youth Gabertius. Ryoichi cheerfully reveals that he also just recently became an adventurer himself. He presents his ornate guild card showing his name and photograph. Coco examines the card, Surprised to see his name is Ishikawa Ryoichi, she asked him about his profession before he became an adventurer. Ryoichi explains he was a craftsman, or more specifically, an electrician. With a serious gaze, Coco states a shout bear is beyond a craftsman's ability. She confronts him on the stairs, noting his gentle demeanor is disarming. Flustered by her direct questioning, Ryoichi admits his victory involves something like a cheat. A voice from off-panel confirms that his claim is indeed true. Master Gio appears with a young girl, startling the others with his presence. The girl scolds Gio, reminding him that he and Ryoichi are both injured. Brushing off her concern, Gio grabs Ryoichi, stating he has urgent business. A new long-haired man appears, his presence creating an intense standoff with Coco. The man finds the situation interesting, correctly identifying Coco's sword style. Coco acknowledges his keen insight, confirming her school is the current view. Outside, the NGO and the mysterious man flank a confused Ryoichi. The man chides Royce, advising him to pick someone else if he's flirting. Ryoichi is bewildered, denying that he was flirting with Coco at all. Meanwhile, Coco plays a game with Mi and Moa, who find her kind. Ryoichi reflects on the reputation of swordsmen from the Kokonatsu archipelago. He considers the danger of getting involved with a woman like Coco. Inside the Key Guild Hall, two men await Ryoichi and his companions. A balding man greets Ryoichi warmly, noting how strong he has become. Ryoichi recognizes Guildmaster Kokus, who stands beside him with an eye patch. The other man introduces himself as Coleus, the village chief of ES. The chief reveals the Shout Bear's descent signals something abnormal in the mountains. Kokus recalls a similar disaster that occurred some time ago. The term sea crossing is mentioned, leaving Ryo, He, and Gio looking concerned. A flashback shows a dragon flying over a mountain 20 years prior. The memory reveals two dragons laying waste to a village with fire. Ryoichi cries out in shock at the mention of dragons. The flashback shows the Duke of Clavaro rising to action against the threat. The twin dragons brought a great calamity that shook the entire island. The Duke mobilized his soldiers and adventurers to hunt the beast down. After a fierce battle, the twin dragons were slain at a great cost. Ryoichi is saddened that such a peaceful village suffered a great disaster. Gio reveals a crucial detail. The two dragons were a mated pair. He explains that pieces of their eggshells were found, sparking rumors of an offspring. With this threat looming, a guild member presents a sealed letter. The village chief formally requests that Ryoichi deliver the letter to Arrow. Ryoichi is completely stunned by the sudden monumental request. The guild members advise him to wait until his injuries have fully healed. However, Gio insists on haste, trusting his intuition about the impending danger. Ryoichi asks if they are truly sure about entrusting him with this. He questions their decision to give such a vital role to a wanderer. The elders revealed Gio recommended him as the village's most reliable person. Overwhelmed by their faith, Ryoichi falls into a moment of silent contemplation. With newfound resolve, he firmly accepts the mission and agrees to take it on. A voice cries out in disbelief, questioning why he must leave so soon. Marie protests the unreasonable request, calling him too kind for accepting. Ryoichi thanks her for her care, believing the chief will explain later. To prove his readiness, he unwraps his bandages, declaring he is fully recovered. Flustered by his sudden state of undress, Marie begs him to stop. Now shirtless, Ryoichi decides he will depart the next morning and must rest. He then resolves to begin a new project before turning in for the night. The sound of a hammer striking wood echoes as he begins construction. He has seen skillfully assembling a large wooden box with various tools. Two young girls, Mia and Moa, peek around a corner, watching him curiously. They approach him, asking what he is making with the metal coil. He explains he is building a bath with a rocket stove to heat water. The girls are surprised and intrigued by the idea of a bath. Ryoichi tells them soaking in hot water cleanses the body and relieves fatigue. One of the girls remarks that warm water is a new sensation for her. With a final piece in place, Ryoichi declares that the bath is complete. He tests the water temperature, confirming it's perfect for a soak. The girls eagerly declare that they want to join him in the bath. He hesitates, realizing they don't have swimsuits, but an idea strikes him. He offers them his own t-shirt, which bears the logo of his old store. The girls cheer for their new swimsuit bath, looking forward to it. The three of them relax in the warm water, all agreeing it feels wonderful. Their peaceful moment is suddenly interrupted by a shocked gasp from off-panel. Coco storms in, aghast at the sight, calling their shared bath indecent. She demands to know the age of one of the girls, who replies 12. The girl adds that in her country, People can marry at 13. Ryoichi frantically tries to explain the misunderstanding to a shocked Coco. The chaotic situation culminates in a piercing shriek echoing through the air. Later, Ryoichi announces he must leave for Errol on an important job. The girls cry out in protest, asking why he must leave so soon. They refuse to be left behind again after the Shout Bear incident. Acknowledging their fears, Ryoichi thoughtfully agrees to take them with him. The next day, Ryo-I runs alongside a small mech piloted by MYA. He warns her of a potential encounter with the Shout Bear again. He marvels at his own speed, now matching that of a magic armor machine. Ryoichi reflects that his physical abilities have increased with his level. Suddenly, his senses go on high alert, detecting an unseen presence. He yells for me to brake, warning her that someone is following them. A rustling in the bushes signals the arrival of their mysterious pursuer. Coco emerges from this forest, startling Ryoichi with her sudden appearance. She lands in a crouch. Impressed, he noticed her concealed presence. In a flash, she partially draws her sword, testing his reaction. Her gaze is sharp and serious as she holds the blade near him. Ryoichi remains calm but wary, meeting her intense stare without flinching. Coco sheathes her blade with a soft click, the tension breaking instantly. She apologizes, explaining her interest in his abilities compelled her to follow. Ryoichi suggests that Coco could have simply called out to him. She asks if he isn't disturbed by her, as beast women are usually feared. He briefly recalls his master's warning about people like her. With a smile, he insists that strong women and lone wolves are cool. Genuinely surprised, Coco breaks into a laugh, finding his comment amusing. She winks, calling him a truly interesting gentleman, different from others. With newfound resolve, she declares her intention to accompany him. Their journey takes them across a wide, grassy field between rocky cliffs. An impromptu race begins as they sprint across the terrain at full speed. Ryoichi calls out, amazed at the incredible pace his companion sets. He pants, asking if she can maintain her impressive speed. With fierce determination, Coco confirms that of course she can keep going. From her mech, one of the girls exclaims that they are far too fast. The two runners are just blurs in the distance, outstripping the machine. Watching from the cockpit, the girls lament they can't catch up at full speed. The exhilarating sprint ends as they stop by a waterfall, panting heavily. In the serene clearing, they both catch their breath, exhausted. Ryoichi laughs, admitting he may have gotten a bit carried away. Coco explains her pride took over, but she found the race fun. A sudden piercing scream shatters their peaceful moment, startling them. Ryoichi grabs his axe, calling out an alarm to Mia and Moa. Coco's eye narrows with deadly focus as she senses the immediate threat. A hulking monster attacks the mech where the two girls are hiding. Without hesitation, Coco draws her katana, its blade gleaming in the light. She announces her fighting style, current style, with unwavering confidence. Her blade becomes a blur as she unleashes a furious flurry of slashes. The chaotic spring rain tears the monster apart instantly. From the safety of their mech, the girls thank Coco, calling her cool. Ryoichi is also deeply impressed, praising her as a high-ranking adventurer. She remarks that this foe should be easy for the man who beat the Shout Bear. He humbly insists his combat skills are average, but he is hard to kill. Coco's interest is piqued by his mention of a healing ability. He compares his power to the regenerative abilities of lizard beastmen. Coco mischievously suggests sparring to test a fatal blow on him. The girls observed that they'd become good friends, despite the dangerous talk. The scene shifts to the next morning at their quiet campsite. Two dome tents are pitched into forest clearing as the sun rises. A pan of sausages sizzles over a small portable stove. Ryoichi, wearing an apron, wishes the girls good morning, announcing breakfast. Inside their tent, Maya and Moa awaken to the delicious smell of food. Ryoichi's eyes suddenly widen and surprise at something he sees. The sight is Coco, bathing nearby, wrapped only in a towel. Completely flustered, he drops the hot pan directly onto his head. Mia cheerfully points out his face's smash, but will heal quickly. After their meal, they decide to pack the leftovers and head to Errol. A horse-drawn carriage rattles along a path through the woods. Inside, the group is relieved to have found a relay station to Errol. One girl asks why they're going, and the other reminds her it is because of the dragon. Coco expresses her surprise at the twin dragons left behind in offspring. A flashback shows a young Coco hearing of the disaster in her homeland. One of the girls excitedly asked Coco what her hometown is like. Coco explains it is an island called Ichigu in the Kokonatsu archipelago. She describes it as a beautiful country of beastmen known for its fruit. Back in the present, their carriage continues its journey across the plains. Ryoichi looks at a map, adding the archipelago to his list of places to visit. Coco turns to Ryoichi and asks if he is from this island. He explains that he is from a faraway place he can never return to. He adds that he has no regrets as leaving his home led him to me and Moa. Coco smiles warmly, agreeing that leaving her homeland led her to them. Ryoichi looks out the window, hoping for a trouble-free mission. A dragon suddenly swoops down from the sky with terrifying speed. The horses rear in panic, bringing the carriage to a violent halt. Inside, the group is thrown about, questioning the sudden chaos. They look out to see the colossal dragon hovering beside them. The dragon's reptilian eye glares, its slit pupil focused on its new prey. Ryoichi's appraisal reveals the dragon's insane high-level stats. The monstrous beast opens its maw, letting out a deafening roar. Coco warns Ryoichi that a breath attack is coming as its mouth glows red. He yells for everyone to get behind him, ready to defend them. He instantly activates his god-level clone technique, creating 2 copies. The dragon unleashes a torrent of roaring flames toward the carriage. The 3 reeks conjure a massive layered ice shield to block it. The fire breath engulfs the shield, scorching the ground around them. The dragon circles in the sky above the protected carriage, preparing again. The carriage remains intact, shielded from the devastating blast. Mia and Moa hug each other, shakily asking if they are still alive. Coco asks if Ryoichi is okay. He confirms, but the shield and clones were burned. She looks at her own severe burns, insisting they need immediate treatment. Ryoichi's arm is already healing, and he dismisses his injury as nothing. He realizes they cannot outrun the dragon and must find a way to fight. He despairs, wondering what they can do against a flying foe with such a power gap. Coco asks Ryoichi if he can understand the dragon's capabilities. He confirms he can, using a skill called God-Level Appraisal. A status screen shows Coco's formidable stats, but they are not enough. Coco remains silent, her expression one of grim determination. She stands up, her hand on her sword, ready to face the beast. Ryoichi urgently warns her not to go outside into the danger. A dragon perches on the carriage, which Ryoichi notes is still a juvenile. Coco leaps onto the roof, declaring the dragon is not a true warrior. Ryoichi is startled by a strange anomaly he perceives in her status. He sees noise as she enters a state of mental concentration. She faces the dragon and asks Ryoichi to buy her just 5 seconds. Ryoichi is shocked, questioning how he could possibly buy that much time. The dragon dives not at Coco but directly at him on the ground. A massive clawed foot descends upon him with terrifying speed. With a defiant cry, Ryoichi raises his axe to meet the attack. The impact sends him stumbling back, but he successfully parries the blow. He digs his heels in, bracing against the immense force. The girls cry out his name as he is thrown back by the dragon's power. Ryoichi looks up, his concern focused entirely on Coco's safety. A massive dragon circles in the sky, causing Ryoichi to wonder if it's targeting them again. Coco, the fox-eared swordswoman, stands poised and ready for battle, her form wreathed in energy. Ryoichi's gaze is fixed on the circling beast, his concern palpable. An appraisal reveals Coco's stats. Level 68, but her defense power is a shocking 0. Ryoichi realizes with horror that she was injured just from the dragon passing by. He understands that a direct hit on her would result in instant death. The dragon suddenly folds its wings, beginning a terrifying dive towards the ground. Another companion shouts a warning as Ryoichi realizes Coco is the target. Refusing to let her die, Ryoichi activates his god-level clone technique. A multitude of his clones swarm the descending dragon in a desperate attempt to stop it. The clones hack away at the dragon's tough scales with their swords. Their physical and magical attacks prove completely useless against the creature's impenetrable hide. Ryoichi decides his last resort is advanced dark magic, a risky move that could mean death. With no time for hesitation, he steels his resolve, vowing to stake his life on the spell. He unleashes abyss darkness, a horrifying torrent of dark energy and spectral skulls. The dragon shrieks in agony as the forbidden magic tears into its flank. Caught in the backlash, Ryoichi coughs up blood, but successfully diverted the dragon's attention. On the carriage roof, Coco thanks Ryoichi, affirming her trust in him was not a mistake. She declares him a brave warrior without a doubt, her resolve hardening. Her eyes widen with absolute focus as she prepares to unleash her own power. She calls upon her ultimate skill, the Kurenryu secret technique, Lotus Blossom Flash. Her blade strikes with incredible force, severing the dragon's limbs in a spray of blood. The beast lets out a deafening roar of pain, blood gushing from its grievous wounds. Its reptilian eye widens in shock and agony from the devastating attack. The dragon's head is shown in close-up, its expression one of pure rage and pain. In its pain frenzy, the creature snatches the incapacitated Ryoichi from the ground. It takes to the air, carrying the bloodied young man and its sharp talons. After a short, unsteady flight, it drops him unceremoniously into a thicket of bushes. The passengers on the carriage watch as the dragon silhouette disappears over the horizon. The two young girls and the driver anxiously ask if Ryoichi and Coco are all right. Coco lands gracefully but immediately drops to one knee, panting from exhaustion. She surmises they drove it away because it was wounded for the first time in its life. She warns that the dragon is still growing, and they must remain on high alert. Searching the area, she wonders where Ryoichi has fallen, asking if he is okay. She finds him face down in the dirt, groaning that he is definitely not okay. She frantically asks about his healing ability, but he explains he is not immortal. He reveals the dark magic left him immobilized, and the bushes saved him from a fatal fall. He sits up, explaining that the mental exhaustion from dark magic is overwhelming. Coco smiles with relief, expressing her gratitude that he is alive and they were all saved. The other passengers gather, bowing their heads and thanking the two heroes for their survival. Ryoichi and Coco, both battered and bloodied, look on in a state of shock. The two young girls, Mia and Moa, rush forward, crying with relief. They throw their arms around the stunned Ryoichi in a tight, emotional hug. Holding them, he realizes his ability to be hard to kill is meant to protect others. Coco observes the touching scene with a faint, knowing smile. She reflects that this might be the first time she's been thanked for her swordsmanship. Ryoichi declares their next destination is Errol to save more lives. Their carriage finally arrives at the formidable stone gates of the agricultural city, Enro. The vehicle rumbles to a stop just inside the city walls. Two armored guards approach, asking the driver what the rush is. The driver frantically informs them of the dragon's appearance, urging them to tell the Baron. The group is escorted to the grand and opulent lord's mansion. Maya and Mo are gaze in awe at the massive building, warned not to wander off. A well-dressed man introduces himself as Karoth, the steward of the Baron's household. Inside an office, a voice exclaims in shock at the news of a dragon. Kareth informs his master that their guest is the hero who defeated the Shout Bear. The Baroness finds it hard to believe they were attacked on a regular coach route and asked for proof. Ryoichi confidently states that he has the proof stored in his item box. A hexagonal interface for his item box appears, displaying various collected items. He presents a large, glistening dragon scale, stunning the Baroness and Carrot. Carol takes the scale to examine it more closely. He confirms its authenticity, noting it resembles the scales of the twin dragons from 20 years ago. The Baroness recalls that Kareth led the search team back then, finding only eggshells. She concludes that the territorial army alone cannot handle this threat. Ryoichi asks to purchase the scales as evidence, and the Baroness graciously agrees. The Baroness resolves to petition the Duke in the capital for military aid. She thanks them for the news and promises to issue warnings and dispatch the army. Kuro thanks the group for their journey and advises them to rest and recover in error. Outside, Ryoichi stretches, feeling their mission is complete but still wondering about their safety. Coco, however, looks on with a deeply unsettled expression, sensing trouble. A silhouette of the dragon underscores the grim reality that the army will take days to act. Mia and Moa worry for their respective hometowns, which are now in danger. Ryoichi offers some hope, explaining that dragons often nest to heal, giving them a few days. In the city market, Moa excitedly points to a stall of bright red apples. Ryoichi observes that the fruits and animals in this world are similar to his own. Moa takes a bite, finding it sweet, which reminds Ryoichi of candied apples. He suggests they find lodging, and he will show them how to make the treat. In their inn's kitchen, a pot of water and sugar begins to bubble on a stove. Ryoichi explains a simple method of simmering the ingredients with strawberry jam. After coating the apples and letting them cool, the glistening candied apples are ready. Mia and Moa gaze at the finished treats, exclaiming how cute and delicious they look. With time to spare before sunset, Ryoichi suggests they explore the city a bit more. Moa, however, expresses her desire to keep eating the candied apple. They decide to wrap one up to take with them, and Moa cheers happily. The city of Aral is a vast, impressive vista of buildings climbing a hillside. Ryoichi and Coco stand in an archway, overwhelmed by the city's scale and prosperity. Moa excitedly points ahead, having spotted something amazing. She marvels at a grand column temple, the first she has ever seen. An ethereal vision explains that temples bring great blessings and prosperity to a city. This divine protection requires a city to have 3 priests recognized by the gods. Ryoichi ponders the nature of the gods and their chosen priests. He wonders what kind of people these divinely recognized individuals could be. A small cloaked figure stumbles unsteadily nearby, leaning on a large staff. The figure's head droops and they begin to fall forward. They collapse directly into a startled Ryoichi who catches them. He wonders what is wrong with the child who has suddenly collapsed. Moa, holding her candied apple, rushes over and asks if the person is okay. The hooded figure's eyes suddenly gleam with an intense, hungry light. In a flash of movement, the figure snatches the treat from Moa's grasp. Moa cries out in shock as the thief ravenously devours her candied apple. A young girl named Moa bursts into tears, her face contorted in heartbreak. Ryoichi rushes to her side, asking if her treat was stolen while trying to comfort her. He has an idea, offering her a donut from a sister donut box instead. With teary eyes, Moa quietly accepts the new sweet from her friend. Her sadness is immediately replaced by a blissful smile as she takes a happy bite. A mysterious hooded figure's shadowed face shows a gleam of intense, sudden focus. In a flash, the figure snatches the entire box of donuts from Ryoichi's hands. The thief begins devouring the donuts with incredible speed and ravenous gusto. Ryoichi and his companions shout in anger, demanding to know what the thief is doing. The hooded figure calmly states that they are not a child. With a swift movement, the individual throws back their hood. An elf girl introduces herself as Malo, a 24-year-old priest. Ryoichi is stunned she's older than him, while Moa calls her a princess. Malo justifies her theft as a divine blessing, explaining her slow growth as an elf. Watching her eat, Ryoichi concludes that she still acts very much like a child. He swiftly scoops her up, declaring that naughty kids need to be disciplined. Malo struggles furiously, demanding to be let go and asking what he plans to do. Ryoichi calmly presents her with an ultimatum. The guards are the lost child office. She protests loudly, proclaiming her status as a priest chosen by the gods. He cuts through her excuses, asking who is truly being rude in this situation. Moa, with tears in her eyes, says she was so looking forward to her candied apple. Malo's expression softens as she recalls the sweet red gem she had stolen. A flashback reveals her desperate state after being robbed and wandering without food. The sight of the candied apple had appeared to her like a single red light. She believed it was a heavenly blessing sent by her god, Undilusama. Suddenly, a torrent of water materializes from thin air directly above her. She cries out in shock, begging her god for forgiveness as she is drenched. Ryoichi and Koko stare in disbelief, wondering if they are witnessing divine punishment. Soaked and humbled, Malo apologizes for losing control over the unfamiliar treat. A hand gently reaches out to pat her on the head in a comforting gesture. Moa, with a kind smile, asks her not to do it again and suggests they make up. Malo is touched by the child's compassion as Moa introduces herself and shakes her hand. As their hands meet, Malo's eyes widen with a sudden powerful realization. She looks intently at the girl and declares that she senses a great potential in Moa. Malo suggests they visit the temple of Mansama, where Moa might receive a blessing. Ryoichi and his companions arrive at the temple, their faces blank with awe. They find themselves at the end of a massive line of worshippers waiting patiently. A kindly priest in ornate robes calls for the next person to step forward. The priest's hand is raised, ready to bestow the blessing of the gods. Kneeling before the priest, Ryoichi awaits the blessing with a neutral expression. He stands up, checking himself and others, but notices no particular change in status. Just as he dismisses the thought, a flash of light catches his eye. The priest bestows his blessing upon Mia, Mo, and Koko, who kneel reverently. A divine light envelops the three, who feel a new warm power coursing through them. Ryoichi stares in shock, realizing all of them have been granted a divine blessing. Malo confirms the blessing worked, and that they should now be able to use magic. Mia and Moa look at each other, confused by the new sensation of power. Mia excitedly hugs Malo, exclaiming she could never use magic before despite practicing. She thanks Malachon profusely, earning a flustered rebuke from the priestess. Ryoichi feels a bit left out, wondering if he's the only one who missed out. He then recalls that he already possesses the blessing of Yosksama, the god of woodworking. Malo's sharp gaze confirms this, stating it's why she was drawn to him. However, she senses that this is not the full extent of his divine power. A divine winged figure appears behind Ryoichi as Malo senses a much higher level blessing. He realizes this must be why he could master all magic attributes from the start. The group stands outside the temple, looking out over the city under a cloudy sky. Ryoichi turns to find Malo following them and asks her why she is there. She explains her desire to repay them for the sweets by accompanying them on their journey. He informs her they are returning to the dangerous East Village the very next day. A map reveals their destination is perilously close to a dragon's lair. Malo's face lights up with excitement at the danger, declaring she can be helpful. Ryoichi, bewildered by her reaction, agrees to at least feed her on their journey. Later, Malo is seen devouring a massive feast with incredible gusto. Her companions watch in amazement, wondering how she can possibly eat so much. Moa approaches Malo, asking if she could teach her how to use magic. The girls gather around Malo, eagerly asking her to read a picture book to them. Malo is flustered, trying to deny that she was reading a children's book. The book is revealed to be the rare first edition of Dorad's adventure. Malo explains the book's rarity as the other girls eagerly ask about the sequel. Ryoichi watches them with a small smile, remarking on how friendly they've become. Night falls over the city, a full moon hanging in the dark, starry sky. Ryoichi lies in his bed, ready for sleep in the quiet room. A persistent knocking sound suddenly echoes from his wooden door. He groggily wonders who could possibly be visiting at such a late hour. Opening the door, he finds Malo standing in the hallway with a neutral expression. He asked what's wrong and why she can't seem to get to sleep. Malo winks playfully, suggesting the idea of night crawling to him. Ryoichi, completely flustered, throws a pillow at her and tells her to go to bed. She tries to reassure him, claiming it's her first time seducing a gentleman. He admonishes her for making such tasteless jokes so late at night. Her playful demeanor vanishes as she gently cups his face in her hands. She looks at him intently, saying she senses something mysterious about him. She expresses a desire to learn more about the life he has lived until now. Ryoichi is taken aback, recognizing her unusually sharp and perceptive intuition. Before he can respond, she throws another pillow, telling him to go to bed. She retreats for the night, promising to see him again in the future. Alone, Ryoichi reflects on his secret life as a transmigrator, a truth he keeps hidden. He looks out over the city at sunrise, wishing he had more time to relax. The next day, he tells the group they must hurry back to warn the village chief. He reveals a problem. His magic armor machine is only a two-seater. He considers how to transport everyone, remembering a previous unconventional solution. A chaotic, custom-built vehicle roars the life, surprising all of his companions. Ryoichi explains he modified his father's motorcycle sidecar and attached it to the front. Malo complains about it being a support member who is now placed on the front line. Coco, thrilled by the speed, feels inspired to create a brand new technique. The vehicle eventually reaches the foot of a steep, rocky mountain path. Ryoichi acknowledges that the magic armor machine cannot traverse the narrow terrain. The group continues on foot, with Moa's cheerful energy lifting their spirits. Moa spots smoke rising from a nearby pond, comparing it to a bath. They discover a natural hot spring, its waters promising to heal their fatigue. Ryoichi, with a flustered expression, suggests that they should all wear swimsuits. Bearing her face in her hands, Coco mutters Ryoichi's name in pure exasperation. Two young girls, Mia and Moa, excitedly invite a surprise Coco to join them. The scene focuses on two simple wooden tubs, part of the hot spring setup. In the water, Moa innocently exclaims how big Coco's chest is, embarrassing her. Mia marvels at how well the soap and cloth Ryoichi provided clean everything. From his side of the partition, Ryoichi overhears Coco telling Moa to stop groping her. He reflects that even with a wall, he must be mindful while surrounded by girls. A mysterious silhouette suddenly appears in the steam, startling him with a "huh?" The elf Malo materializes, asking Ryoichi to wash her back for her. He nervously asks why she doesn't ask the other girls, but she insists he do it. Panicking, Ryoichi dunks a wooden bucket over her head, laughing it off nervously. After their bath, Mia and Moa feel completely refreshed, thanking Ryoichi for the experience. Coco finds the hot spring very relaxing, while Malo enjoys a post-bath milk drink. Standing on a rocky path, Ryoichi considers the spring's potential as a tourist spot. He looks toward the distant village, admitting it has become like a second home. Their view clears, revealing a horrifying sight that leaves Ryoichi questioning what has happened. A close-up shows Ryoichi's face, his eyes wide with shock and utter disbelief. The village of Es is shown in ruins, burning as he screams the names of his friends. Ryoichi collapses in despair amidst the rubble, wondering where everyone has gone. Coco grimly assesses the charred remains, concluding the dragon must have attacked them. He realizes with horror that he completely underestimated the gravity of the dragon threat. Dark bloodstains are splattered across the cracked and broken stone ground. Ryoichi observes that despite the blood, there are no bodies suggesting an evacuation. Malo kneels over a bloodstain, casting a spell with her ornate staff. He turns to her with a concerned expression, asking what she is doing. She announces that she cast a tracking spell, and the trail leads northwest. Ryoichi recognizes the direction from a map, realizing it leads to a familiar shrine. The group rushes with great urgency through the dense, dark forest. As they approach the shrine's entrance, two figures emerge from the shadows within. Ryoichi cries out their names in recognition. They are his friends, Sikaz and Traz. The two men are overjoyed, rushing forward to confirm that Ryoichi is safe. Sikaz explains that the dragon attacked, but they managed to drive it away. A dragon warning notice had allowed them to prepare for an evacuation beforehand. Despite their preparations, he sadly admits that many villagers were severely injured. Ryoichi's expression fills with immediate worry for the well-being of his friend Foss. Inside the shrine, Marie sits by a curtained-off bed, tending to the wounded. She looks up with a start, noticing that someone has entered the infirmary. Her face lights up with pure relief as she sees Ryoichi, exclaiming that he's safe. Ryoichi returns her sentiment but immediately asks her about Foss's condition. His eyes widen in shock and dread as he takes in the scene. A figure lies on a cot, their entire body wrapped tightly in bandages. Marie tearfully explains that Faust shielded them from the dragon's flames and was caught. The bandaged man's eyes open, revealing he is still conscious despite his injuries. Foss weakly calls out Ryoichi's name, reaching a bandaged hand towards him. He apologizes for his sorry state, admitting with a weak laugh that he messed up. Filled with desperation, Ryoichi vows to use his healing magic to save his friend. He unleashes a powerful turn of healing water magic directly onto Foss. The magic sizzles and evaporates on contact, having no effect on the burns. A cloaked figure tells him to stop as dragonfire burns nullify ordinary healing. The figure points out the many other injured people who need his help more. She urges him to use his limited magic on those who can actually be saved. Ryoichi looks on, his expression a mixture of frustration and dawning despair. He defiantly shouts that he won't let Foss die, continuing to pour magic into him. Mia and Moa watch tearfully, wondering if there is anything they can do. Slumped in defeat, his magic having failed, Ryoichi calls out to the two girls. A memory surfaces of Malo teaching him the true nature of magic. She had explained that magic is, at its core, the power to grant wishes. Malo appears, floating in the air and casting a powerful spell, exhaling light. The divine light washes over Foss, its particles shimmering with healing energy. Foss questions the light, realizing his agonizing pain is rapidly fading away. He sits up, clutching his chest in amazement as the healing takes effect. Looking at his own hand, he marvels that his badly burned skin is restored. Marie cries out Faust's name, her face filled with pure joy and overwhelming relief. Others thank Ryoichi, mistakenly believing his magic was the cause of the miracle. All around the room, villagers celebrate their miraculous recovery from various ailments. Ryoichi and one of the girls stare in absolute shock at the widespread healing. In the midst of the celebration, Malo suddenly collapses to the floor. Ryoichi and the others rush to her side, anxiously asking if she is all right. Lying on the floor, she weakly murmurs that she is just very hungry. Ryoichi realizes the healing light was her doing. She admits she couldn't stand by. She explains that using powerful magic makes her hungry, and she desires something sweet. He smiles warmly, presenting her with candied apples and expressing his sincere gratitude. Malo, the priestess, happily licks one of the sweet, glistening treats. Ryoichi enters another room, wondering about a strange light he sees ahead. He is greeted enthusiastically by Master Gio, who is glad to see him return safely. Gio thanks Malo for healing foes, but she coolly replies she's been thanked already. Gio marvels that his broken leg is healed and an old man's pain is gone. The village chief approaches, thanking Ryoichi for safely delivering the crucial letter. Ryoichi expresses his regret that he couldn't deliver the letter to the Baron sooner. A look of surprise crosses his face as he processes the chief's words. He asked the village chief how he knew the letter was delivered safely. The chief explains that it's the very reason their village survived with 0 deaths. He reveals the Baron dispatched someone immediately and prepares to introduce him. The man, Masakis, is introduced as a retainer who repelled the dragon. Masaki's humbly states he merely took advantage of the dragon's pre-existing injuries. He greets Ryoichi, who tries to give his companion Coco credit for the wound. Coco's eyes widen in shock as she recognizes the name Masakis. Others wonder if he could be the legendary A-rank adventurer. Masaki's the solid. Maseki smiles, calling it a nostalgic name and confirming he is now retired. A flashback depicts his legend. He single-handedly defeated a chimera with his spear. Ryoichi finds it hard to reconcile the ferocious legend with the man's gentle aura. The guildmaster grimly states they must hold out until reinforcements arrive. Coco admits her judgment was wrong to prioritize attacking over healing the dragon. The wounded dragon is shown, its hatred for humans making another attack very likely. Ryoichi worries that the shrine is too cramped to safely house all the villagers. An idea strikes him as he considers their need for a more secure location. A massive, technologically advanced door rumbles open, revealing a hidden passage. The group descends into a vast, dark underground chamber deep within the shrine. Maseki points out the triangular emblem on the door, a mark of ancient ruins. An older man asks Ryoichi about a triangular emblem he has spotted. Ryoichi identifies it as the mark of the Triangular Magical Machinery Company. Maseki explains that the company's devices have complex mechanisms if you can master. Hearing they are often discarded, Ryoichi finds it a terrible waste. He expresses hope that even broken, some might be repairable. The group arrives at a pitch-black entrance, unable to see inside. Ryoichi finds what he believes is a light switch on the wall. With a click, ornate magic stone lamps illuminate the ceiling above. A vast, high-tech underground facility is revealed, stunning everyone with its scale. Maseki marvels at finding advanced magic stone lamps in ancient ruins. Ryoichi is glad his electrical repair skills proved useful in this situation. Maseki is surprised to learn Ryoichi repair the main power supply himself. A voice from a dark screen greets Ryoichi, addressing him as master. The voice expresses how eagerly it has awaited his return. A young woman's image appears, stating the exact time since he left. The younger girls in the group are shocked by the woman's appearance. Ryoichi notes the sarcastic edge to her information about his absence. The AI confirms her irony function was activated from being left alone. Ryoichi asks the manager if they can use the space for the villagers. She grants his request, stating all usage rights belong to the master. Coco and Malo wonder about the nature of this mysterious woman. Moa cheerfully introduces herself to the AI, calling her big sister. The AI reveals she has no name, inviting Mo to give her one. Moa excitedly decides to name the AI Mi-chun. Mi-chun formally accepts her new name, while Malo questions the decision. The guildmaster arrives, astonished by the grand facility. Ryoichi worries if it's safe to reveal this place to everyone. Mi-chun assures him she will provide guidance on all security measures. Her expression turns serious as she outlines the facility's security protocols. She declares that any threats against the master will be exterminated. Ryoichi quickly clarifies he only wants to use the place as a shelter. The village chief thanks him, relieved that the villagers will be safe. Mi-chun warns that the costly replication box requires funds they lack. A plan is made to deploy protective golems outside the shrine. Maseki looks at the golems, feeling reassured by their formidable presence. Ryoichi states they'll be fully occupied protecting the villagers from the dragon. Coco looks at Maseki with a determined expression, addressing him by name. Ryoichi asks Maseki for a sparring session while they wait for reinforcements. He eagerly expresses his desire to train his axe skills further. Maseki laughs, humbly claiming to be a retired old man. He strikes a battle pose, revealing himself as the legendary steadfast Maseki. The legendary warrior stands ready, his massive spear gleaming with power. Ryoichi recognizes the spear's emblem as a rare magical tool. He questions Maseki, recalling that almost no one can use such items. Maseki confirms with a slight smile that this is indeed true. He reveals the spear is cursed, killing all its previous owners. Ryoichi and Coco are shocked, asking how he can possibly master it. Maseki admits he hasn't mastered it. One mistake would be fatal. Coco acknowledges the spear's famous name, the Chimera Lance. She expresses her pleasure at the chance to spar with such a legend. With a determined cry, Coco lunges forward to begin the match. Maseki expertly parries her attack with a massive spear, sparks flying. She unleashes a furious barrage of strikes, which he skillfully deflects. Their weapons clash in a brilliant display of speed and power. Coco grits her teeth, straining against the force of his defense. She marvels at his incredible speed with such a heavy weapon. Ryoichi joins Afri, believing his heavy axe will be harder to block. Their weapons collide with a resounding crash, the impact echoing. Masaki's expression shows a flicker of genuine surprise and impressiveness. He effortlessly redirects Ryoichi's attack, sending him stumbling backward. Maseki analyzes Ryoichi's amateurish style but notes his high physical abilities. He deduces that Ryoichi must have experienced a period of rapid growth. Maseki senses an immense hidden power within the young man. Ryoichi humbly insists he was just desperate to survive his past battles. Koko turns the observation back on Masikis, sensing his own hidden power. She challenges him to reveal the true power of his legendary spear. Masekis gently calls off the spar, reminding them they are training. He walks away with a sigh, ending the intense training session. Elsewhere, Moa proudly shows her teacher Malo a basic aqua ball spell. Malo is pleased by Mo's use of the title sensei. Moa cheekily compares her chest to Koko's, earning an annoyed look. The girls practice their magic activation poses, though the spell has no effect. Maya and Moa express their desire to learn magic that can help Ryoichi. Malo wisely states that basic attack magic is useless against a dragon. She suggests they learn a special body enhancement magic instead. Malo explains it's a non-elemental magic that distorts physical laws. Mia playfully wonders if transforming into an adult would please Ryoichi. Malo advises them to focus on enhancing their magical power first. A transition shot shows the top of a grand dome building. The sound of approaching hooves draws the attention of the training group. A knight on a white horse introduces himself as Julius of Karaslaya. He announces the arrival of the dragon subjugation force, 280 men strong. Masekis informs Ryoichi they have been summoned by the general. Koko expresses her reluctance to get involved with the military. She playfully wishes her leader, Ryoichi, good fortune in his meeting. The scene shows the large, impressive command tent of the military camp. General Gustul greets them, ready to hear their report on the dragon. 2 glasses of a dark beverage sit on a table between them. Inside the tent, Ryoichi reports the dragon is still a juvenile. The general recognizes the value of this information and Ryoichi's abilities. He offers Ryoichi a position within the kingdom's knights. Ryoichi is completely stunned by the sudden prestigious offer. Masekis notes the rarity of such a direct invitation from the general. Ryoichi humbly declines, feeling his combat abilities are inadequate. The general dismisses his humility, noting his discerning eye. He calls Ryoichi a curious man with great power but little ambition. Outside, the general gestures toward the vast military encampment. He explains that gathered armies are all filled with ambition for fame. He delivers a rousing speech to his elite forces about the injured dragon. Ryoichi looks on, appearing overwhelmed by the intense atmosphere. Overwhelmed by the intensity of the military, Ryoichi admits his feelings to Masakis. The older warrior reminds him that as a civilian, he is not under the general's command. Maseki suggests Ryoichi return to the sanctuary of the giants, where everyone is waiting. With the sound of a heavy door, Ryoichi walks back into the sanctuary. A sleepy Maya, rubbing her eye, welcomes her brother Ryoichi back to their quarters. Apologizing for waking her, he gently wishes her a good night. His companion Koko informs him that Mia had been waiting up for him the entire time. She then asked for his impression of the members of the subjugation army. Ryoichi explains that he used his god-level appraisal skill to check the soldiers' stats. Concluding he would have been a burden, he resolves to help from the sanctuary instead. He and his friends are seen heading to the kitchen to prepare a meal. A large pot of hearty stew bubbles over a fire filled with various ingredients. Ryoichi, Maya, and another girl work together to cook for the evacuees. Koko and a young boy serve bowls of the hot stew to the grateful villagers. A small cat-eared child with glasses offers a book to Malo as a token of gratitude. She identifies the gift as a rare and ornate book of non-elemental magic. Reading it, Malo notes the extensive section dedicated to physical enhancement magic. She finds it interesting, musing that magic can be mastered quickly with enough talent. Outside the sanctuary, rain pours down as 2 armored golems stand guard. Ryoichi, holding a box of supplies, notes that several days have passed in the rain. He reflects that it is about time for the subjugation army to return. A cheerful voice suddenly calls out his name, Ryoichi Nichan, from down the hall. Moa runs towards him, enthusiastically declaring her desire to help with something. In a storeroom, Ryoichi thanks her and asks if she could bring him some bread. He explains that the narrow passages make it a helpful task for someone her size. Moa confidently agrees, insisting that such things should be left to her. With a cheerful skip, she heads down the long, brightly lit aisle. The young girl stands amidst shelves and bins filled with various provisions. She happily gathers bags of bread into a basket, glad to be helping out. From a distance, Ryoichi watches her work in the well-stocked storeroom. He smiles warmly, thinking about how Moa's brightness always cheers him up. Suddenly, a violent tremor shakes the entire facility, throwing him off balance. Bracing himself as items fall, he wonders aloud if it's an earthquake. A blaring alarm announces a Level 5 emergency evacuation has been declared. Panicked residents are ordered to evacuate to the underground shelter immediately. The automated voice clarifies that the facility is currently under attack. Ryoichi stares in disbelief, questioning what could possibly be happening. He screams Moa's name in terror as the ceiling above her begins to collapse. A massive crash of concrete and debris fills the storeroom with destruction. The aisle where Mo was working is now a mountain of rubble and dust. Ryoichi's eyes are wide with profound, soul-shattering shock and horror. He stands before the wreckage, calling out Moa's name in a hoarse whisper. Dropping to his knees, he struggles to accept the horrific scene before him. He throws himself at the rubble, desperately screaming for Mo to answer him. Frantically, he claws at the heavy chunks of concrete with his bare hands. A deafening roar interrupts him, and he wonders how this is even possible. Through a gaping hole in the ceiling, a colossal dragon's eye glares down at them. Elsewhere in a cavern, a furious general demands to know how they let the dragon escape. He roars that he ordered them not to break the encirclement until he arrived. A soldier apologizes, explaining the Baron's army's charge disrupted their formation. Another soldier retorts, accusing the Duke's army of neglecting their duty for glory. The two factions turn on each other, accusing one another of being insulting. The general grits his teeth, muttering the name Julius in frustration. A powerful impact shakes the cavern as a knight forcefully intervenes. The female knight Julius draws her sword with a determined expression. She commands silence, reminding the squabbling men they are in the general's presence. The general laments the weakness in coordination shown by the mixed force. Realizing there's no time to waste, he orders them to pursue the dragon at once. He knows it will attack the settlements heading for the sanctuary of the giants. The dragon's monstrous head smashes through the remainder of the building's structure. Ryoichi, bloodied and beaten, desperately searches for any sign of Mo in the rubble. He is consumed by guilt, believing it is his fault for asking her to help. He frantically pushes aside wreckage, his mind a mess of despair. Coco darts through the debris and grabs his arm, trying to pull him away. The building continues to collapse around them with violent tremors. She yells at him, asking what he's doing and urging him to escape. He resists, his gaze fixed on the rubble, insisting he has to find Moa. Coco tearfully explains that the building is collapsing too fast to find her. With tears in her eyes, she pleads that such an unreasonable thing cannot be allowed. Ryoichi pulls his arms free, his expression vacant and blood splattered. Coco screams for him to come back, asking if he is planning to die. He stops, his feet planted firmly amidst the wreckage, facing the chaos. Facing the colossal dragon, he declares that he is not planning to die. His face contorts with cold fury as he announces his true intent is to kill. He unleashes his divine-level cloning technique, creating multiple copies of himself. The 5 Ryokas leap as one towards the dragon's massive head. Their blades plunged deep into its hide, causing geysers of black blood to erupt. Debris rains down around Coco as the dragon thrashes in agony. The full, terrifying form of the injured great dragon is finally revealed. Coco stares in shock, realizing the beast is already grievously wounded. Ryoichi surmises it must have escaped from the battle with the army. He and his clones press their relentless assault on the massive creature. One clone drives his sword deep into the dragon's thick, scaly neck. Filled with conviction, Ryoichi yells that they will take it down themselves. The dragon roars in pain and fury under the coordinated attack. Inspired by his resolve, Coco declares that she will assist him in the fight. She leaps onto the dragon's back, adding her own slashes to the onslaught. Under their combined assault, the mighty dragon begins to falter and collapse. A girl in a miner's helmet watches the battle from a safe distance. She stares in disbelief, questioning if they are sane for fighting the dragon head-on. Her attention is drawn to Malo, who has found someone in the rubble. She exclaims in shock, seeing Mia crying out Moa's name repeatedly. Malo approaches her, expression grave as she recounts what she witnessed. She explains that she saw the moment Moa was buried under the rubble. She realizes Ryoichi's rage mirrors that of their father before he died. With conviction, she states her strong belief that Mo is still alive. She knows they must rescue Moa or Ryoichi and Coco are in grave danger. In the heart of the battle, Coco lands another powerful blow on the beast. She dodges a sweep of the dragon's tail, trying to assess the damage. She wonders aloud how much life the dragon has left, knowing the fight is not yet won. A blood-splattered Ryoichi clutches his sword, breathing heavily in shock after the assault. The dragon's status screen reveals its life force has barely been diminished. His eye widens in horror, realizing the damage was insignificant. He understands they must inflict continuous massive damage to win. On the beast's back, he witnesses its wounds healing at an impossible rate. Coco grits her teeth in frustration, seeing their efforts being undone. She fiercely declares her intent to use a secret technique, demanding Ryoichi buy her time. With a unified shout, Ryoichi and his newly summoned clones accept her request. The small army of Ryoakus surrounds the dragon's head, ready for their assault. One of the clones is violently destroyed by a sweep of the dragon's tail. The massive beast continues its rampage, swatting away the duplicates with ease. Another clone is brutally smashed against the creature's powerful tail. Ryoichi panics, realizing his clones are being destroyed, and he cannot summon more. The dragon's massive, tooth-filled jaws descend upon another of his duplicates. The clone is violently crushed, dissolving into a spray of black liquid. A sharp cry of pain escapes Ryoichi as he feels the agonizing backlash. He struggles, seeing the dragon's regeneration slowing, and urges his forces to hold on. Coco gathers her power, lightning crackling around her as she prepares for her attack. She acknowledges the reckless move will severely drain her own life force. With fierce resolve, she proclaims that there is life to be found in death. She unleashes her current style secret technique, the Moon Lotus Flash Blossom. Her devastating attack lands, carving deep wounds into the dragon's body. Coco triumphantly announces that she has successfully severed both of the dragon's arms. Standing on the beast's back, she prepares to strike its vulnerable neck next. Her eye widens in sudden alarm as she senses an unexpected movement. The dragon's massive tail whips around with incredible speed and force. The catastrophic impact smashes her violently into a wall of shattered stone. Ryoichi looks on in utter horror, his face a mask of disbelief. He screams her name as he sees her broken form amidst the rubble. The armless dragon looms over her, its mouth beginning to glow ominously. Hidden in the debris, Ryoichi realizes a breath attack is coming for Coco. He frantically searches the ruins for anything he can use to stop it. A spark of an idea ignites as his gaze falls upon something in the wreckage. He recognizes the technologically advanced weapon as Masaki-san's spear. Wondering why it was left behind, he knows there is no time to think. He seizes the cursed spear, declaring he will borrow it from Aseki's. The dragon continues charging its breath attack, steam billowing from its mouth. With a roar, Ryoichi thrusts the massive spear directly at the beast's face. He shouts a challenge, hoping the spear's legendary power will be enough. The spear connects with a thunderous crash, but the dragon is unfazed. Enraged, the beast swats him away with a flick of its head. The immense force sends him crashing hard into the crumbling architecture. He is shocked that the legendary spear barely left a scratch on its scales. The dragon looms over his broken form, snarling as it moves in. Ryoichi lies groaning amongst the rubble, seemingly defeated and helpless. The colossal beast lowers its head, preparing to finish him off. Its massive jaws clamp down on its victim with a sickening crunch. The body it attacks dissolves into the familiar black ink of a clone. The clone's form completely dissipates under the dragon's powerful bite. A voice coolly states that the attack was unfortunate for the beast. The real Ryoichi reveals himself, confirming the decoy was just a clone. The enraged dragon roars, turning its attention to its true target. He celebrates that they have managed to immobilize it, thanks to Coco. He notices a trigger on the spear, realizing it's the key to its true power. Just as he is about to fire, a voice urgently pleads for him to stop. He recognizes the synthesized voice as his AI companion, Mikan. In a control room, Michan reports the analysis of the powerful spear. She reveals it's a modified weapon not meant for humans with a fatal recoil. Ryoichi is horrified to learn that using the spear means instant death. Machine logically suggests using a clone to fire the weapon instead. Ryoichi dismisses the great idea, knowing it's now impossible for him. He explains that he has no magic power left. The last clone was his limit. Michan urges him to retreat, stating his survival is her top priority. She adds that his survival is also the wish of the watching villagers. A bearded warrior declares he cannot stay silent after seeing this. A burly man vows to take on the role, having already thrown his life away once. An elderly man insists the task is for someone like him, with little time left. Ryoichi is deeply moved, hearing the voices of those willing to die for him. Inspired, the villagers rushed towards a sealed door to head to the surface. The burly man pounds on the heavy metal, demanding it be open. Ryoichi's expression hardens with unwavering resolve, sweat beading on his face. He issues his first and last command. The door must not be open. His finger tightens on the trigger, his mind now made up. A small girl, Mia, rushes onto the battlefield, pleading for him to wait. He warns her to stay away, but she tearfully asks if using the weapon will kill him. Ryoshi is stunned as Mia runs towards him, calling out her name. The wounded dragon roars, its presence still a terrifying threat. The very wall behind the beast begins to crumble under the strain. He desperately shoves her, warning they will be crushed together if they stay. Mia stands her ground, declaring with absolute conviction that he will not die. She throws herself in front of him, a defiant shield against the danger. Wrapping her arms around him, she proclaims she will protect her brother. Ryoichi is utterly shocked by her selfless act. Muttering in disbelief, Mia reveals she has learned physical enhancement magic to become hard as diamond. She shoves the massive spear into his hands, telling him to fire. Ryoichi cries out in protest, horrified at the thought of her dying too. She reassures him with a confident gaze, stating that Moa is surely alive. Mia explains that Moa can use the same magic and will survive. With a tearful smile, she begs him to trust her and defeat the dragon. His face streaked with grime, Ryoichi agrees, his resolve renewed. United, he and Maya aim the weapon, ready for their final attack. The dragon roars, its massive head filling their vision as they prepare to fire. Ryoichi's finger squeezes the trigger, unleashing the spear's full power. A cataclysmic explosion strikes, the siblings' bond becoming a single definitive blow. Masaki's spear detonates inside the beast, the shockwave radiating outwards. An elf girl in a miner's helmet watches the devastation, screaming their names. The dragon's body is completely annihilated in the spectacular blast. As the dust settles, a figure swoops in to catch the falling pair. The figure reveals himself, his form shimmering with a powerful aura. Masakis appears, his glasses gleaming, remarking that living a long life has its perks. Amidst the wreckage, Masakis catches the falling Ryoichi and the unconscious mayor. He notes that while her technique saved Ryoichi, it was incomplete and caused her consciousness. Ryoichi, shocked to see Masakis alive, asked why his spear was inside the dragon. Masakis explains his heavy chimera lance was carried by the dragon after he impaled it. With confidence in his own speed, he knew he could catch up to the beast later. Ryoichi yells in protest, exclaiming that using the dangerous spear nearly ended his own life. Masakis cheekily suggests he could have let Ryoichi perish and claimed all the glory. He places a hand on Ryoichi's, stating such boldness is necessary to become a rank. The older warrior reassures him that he survived because he was not destined to die. He points out Mia's strength, still protecting Ryoichi even while I'm conscious. Ryoichi looks down at his sister, whispering her name with profound relief and concern. Remembering Mia's words, he realizes with hope that Moa must also be alive. A voice calls out from the rubble, catching the attention of the survivors. Malo emerges carrying Moa and calls for help because the girl is too heavy. She explains Mo's body is still hardened by magic, rendering her immobile for now. Ryoichi cries out Mo's name, his face a mask of shock and overwhelming relief. Overcome with emotion, he pulls both unconscious girls into a tight, grateful embrace. Masakis calmly reassures everyone that the two girls will awaken soon. Malo, exhausted, complains that healing Coco is demanding and requires a sweet reward. Ryoichi gratefully promises to make her a special extra-large parfait for her help. Mishan's voice chimes in, finding the idea of a parfait enticing and requesting a hug. A group of burly men is seen rushing towards the scene through the dust. Master Gio arrives with his men, anxiously asking if Ryoichi is all right. They note Coco's injuries but declare Maya a hero, apologizing for their past behavior. Ryoichi looks at his friends, overwhelmed by their support and concern. Michan's voice praises her master for a job well done. Appearing on a screen, Michan confirms the dragon is dead and begins her report. She reports that most of the protective golems were incapacitated during the battle. The shrine itself is half destroyed, but the underground storage remains intact. Most importantly, she confirms that all the villagers have been found safe. Ryoichi expresses his sadness for the fallen golems, though glad the people are safe. Michan reassures him that the golems can be restored as long as their cores remain. She states that restoring the heavily deteriorated shrine itself will be difficult. Ryoichi, holding me, reassures her, recalling his past as a repairman. He vows that as the shrine's master, he will one day restore it completely. Michan is visibly surprised by his passionate declaration, her expression softening. With a warm smile, she tells her master she looks forward to that day. Master Gio bellows his enthusiastic approval of Ryoichi's declaration. He declares the woodworking guild will help, meaning Ryoichi must stay for a while. Gio calls for an immediate victory celebration, ignoring that it's still daytime. A single beam of light illuminates the damaged shrine, a symbol of hope. The next morning, Mia and Mo's sparkling eyes are shown close up. Moa wakes up crying, telling Ryoichi how scared she was of the stone rain. Mia awakens in a panic, asking about Moa, the dragon, and Ryoichi. She finds herself safely in Ryoichi's arms, who wishes them a good morning. Malo remarks that Maya was clinging so stiffly it made treating her difficult. Mia has overcome with embarrassment, realizing she was holding on to him all night. Moa innocently asks why hugging is embarrassing, even after they've bathed together. Malo questions Mia's embarrassment, assuming she is Ryoichi's blood-related sister. Mia clarifies they are only siblings on paper, which shocks Malo completely. Malo thoughtfully muses that Mia might become a tougher rival than Coco someday. Coco enters the room, asking if someone called for her. Maya and Malo are surprised, asking if it's okay for her to be up. Coco explains that thanks to Malo's magic and Marie's care, her injuries are gone. She thanks Ryoichi for saving her life, a sentiment he immediately returns. Michin's voice announces that Master and Lady Coco have visitors. A formidable troop of knights in full-plate armor stands before them. Their leader, General Gustol, has a stern and imposing presence. Ryoichi and Coco are shocked that the general himself has come to see them. The general bows, apologizing for his command failure and expressing his gratitude. He declares that for their great accomplishments, they have earned honorary knighthood. Coco is flustered by the honor, as the general explains only the Marquis can bestow it. He presents a map, formally requesting their presence in the royal capital, Klibble. Ryoichi and the girls look at the map, realizing their next destination is the capital. Coco explains she must report the title to her father and then return home. Moa, sadly, asked if this means they have to say goodbye to Coco. She then enthusiastically declares that she and Mia will go with Coco to Kokonatsu. Coco smiles warmly, admitting she hoped they could be together so she wouldn't be lonely. Malo mentions she hasn't been to her own hometown in a while, fearing a scolding. Ryoichi affirms their new goal, to travel the world and visit everyone's hometowns. The group of 5 stands united, ready to embark on their future travels. Their destination is set, the magnificent castle city of the royal capital, Claiborne. At the village, Ryoichi prepares to leave as Master Gio remarks on his busy schedule. Ryoichi apologizes for not being able to help more with the village's restoration. His guildmates tell him not to worry, vowing to rebuild it even better. A guild elder lets out a hearty chuckle, pleased with their resolve. The villagers gathered to send off the promising new member of their guild. 2 young women playfully call him a heartbreaker and make him promise to return. Gio tells Coco and the others to take care, promising the village will await them. Ryoichi thanks everyone and the group waves a final cheerful goodbye. As they walk away, Malo asks if Ryoichi needs to say goodbye to Michan. He smiles, explaining that it isn't necessary because Michin is with him. He holds up his arm, revealing a complex, watch-like device strapped to his wrist. A tiny, holographic projection of Michin materializes, asking how she can assist. Mia and Moa gasp in astonishment at the sight of a tiny Mikan. Ryoichi begins to explain the origin of the device found during the restoration. He recounts finding the device and having Michin install her OS and sync to it. The girls are baffled by the unfamiliar technical terms he uses. Michon clarifies the device has features like a camera, but is in a standalone state. Ryoichi likens it to a smartphone, a term he admits he doesn't fully understand. He reveals he has duplicated the device for everyone so they can communicate. Maya is ecstatic, realizing she can study much better with Michin's help. Malo declares, Michin is now her servant, a claim the AI immediately refutes. Michin informs Malo that as a guest she has restricted access to content. Enraged, Malo comically fights with her own arm, calling the device cheeky. Moa is excited to play with Michin, while Coco plans to keep hers safe. A splendid ornate carriage waits for them by the side of the road. The girls marvel at how much more luxurious this carriage is than their last one. A knight in gleaming full-plate armor steps forward with purpose. Sir Julius introduces himself, personally ensuring their safe escort to the capital. An ornate carriage, escorted by knights, rumbles swiftly along a grassy path. Inside, Ryoichi and his companions marvel at the luxurious plush seats. The knight Sir Julius turns back to address Mr. Ishikawa in Miss Coco. He explains that becoming a noble is a real possibility for them. Ryoichi expresses his shock at the idea of becoming a noble himself. Julius outlines a path to nobility through accumulating achievements and influence. Ryoichi understands this as climbing the ranks but finds it a tough prospect. Julius dismisses his concerns, revealing he is already favored by General Gustol. Peeking from the carriage, Ryoichi questions if he is truly favored. The knight confirms the general wants Ryoichi as his direct subordinate. Finding the prospect troubling, Ryoichi's voice trails off as the carriage continues. They arrive at a large command tent where they will camp for the night. Inside the tent, Julius announces their arrival to General Gustel. The formidable general looks up from a document with an intense gaze. Ryoichi and his companions find the general's stern presence intimidating. General Gustel thanks them for making the long journey to the camp. His attention then shifts, and he asks about the young girls with them. Maya and Moa cheerfully introduce themselves as Ryoichi's younger sisters. The general stands in stunned silence for a moment after their introduction. He then turns to Ryoichi, his expression softening as he calls his name. The general's stern demeanor melts, and he declares the girls are adorable. "Ryoichi, please," says the girls are his pride and joy. The general's expression becomes serious again as he recalls his troubles. He explains the army faces a severe food shortage for 200 soldiers. With meager meals, the soldiers' morale is dropping steadily each day. He laments that the local monsters are not suitable for consumption. Ryoichi confirms that eating monsters in emergencies is not uncommon. He then makes a bold suggestion to eat part of the defeated dragon. A hexagonal interface flashes representing Ryoichi's magical item box. He summons a massive portion of the dragon's carcass with a great whoosh. General Gustel is stunned by the unprecedented idea of eating a dragon. Michonne's voice reports that the dragon meat is non-toxic and suitable for food. Ryoichi wonders if it might taste similar to crocodile meat and decides to fry it. Chunks of dragon meat sizzle loudly in a large pot of hot oil. He skillfully chops vegetables with a large knife, preparing the meal. The finished dish, Dragon Tatsuta Age, is presented with various sauces. General Gustel exclaims in delight at the fragrant taste of the dragon. The head chef, blessed by the god of cooking, praises its profound flavor. Another soldier compliments Ryoichi's impressive skills, and they share a drink. The girls all dig in, marveling at the delicious and terrifying meal. A knight announces that 2 3-person tents are available for their group. Ryoichi stands with his companions, pondering how to divide themselves for the night. Moa happily clings to Coco, wanting to sleep with her because she's so comfy. Ryoichi decides that all 3 girls can sleep together in one tent. He concludes that this arrangement leaves him to share a tent with Malo. 2 military-style tents stand under the dark, starry night sky. Later, Ryoichi lies asleep in his sleeping bag, seemingly alone. His eyes slowly open as he begins to wake from his slumber. He sits up with a start, surprised to find someone else in his bed. Malo teases him, suggesting they are alone together, much to his shock. She dismisses his concern, stating her goddess is a woman, so it's fine. Malo gets angry, insisting he not treat her like a child as she is older. Her expression suddenly shifts from anger to one of physical distress. She lunges forward, startling Ryoichi, who asks what's wrong. She collapses onto him, groaning that she ate too much dragon and feels sick. The tent flap opens and Maya asks if they can borrow a picture book. Mia is shocked to see Malo on top of a struggling Ryoichi. Moa, however, misinterprets the scene and gleefully shouts about playing horsey. She dives onto the pile, playfully riding on Milo's back. Mia's face turns beet red, her eyes swirling with confusion and embarrassment. She decides to join in the chaotic fun piling on top of the others. Outside, Coco watches the tent, her expression dark and serious. A dark aura surrounds her as she admits she's anxious about returning home. The commotion from the tent is clearly audible as strange symbols fill the air. Julius in another night over here, with one laughing about how enviable youth is. The next morning, a bright sun shines in a clear, cloud-filled sky. The ornate carriage continues its journey across the plains at high speed. From the window, Moa excitedly shouts that she can see the castle. The magnificent royal capital of Craval rises majestically in the distance. The group arrives, taking in the impressive view of the capital city. Ryoichi stands before a massive stone wall, remarking on its impressive scale. Sir Julius informs them the ceremony is tomorrow and offers to guide them to a shop. They walk through the bustling streets filled with shops and banners. They arrive at a finely appointed tailor's shop where Julius is welcomed. Inside, Julius requests formal wear for 5 people for the ceremony. The younger girls are overjoyed at the prospect of wearing beautiful dresses. With a swish, the curtain to the dressing room is pulled aside. The 3 girls emerge in their new dresses, eagerly asking Ryoichi for his opinion. Ryoichi praises them, saying they all look as wonderful as princesses. Coco appears from behind another curtain, thanking them for waiting. She turns to the younger girls, telling them they look wonderful and cute. Moa asks about Coco's dress, which is being altered for the next day. Outside the shop, Julius tells them to enjoy the capital for the day. They stand before the vast city, wondering where to begin their exploration. Mallow, as a priest, suggests their first stop should be the Grand Temple. The group begins the long ascent up the stone steps toward the temple. They arrive at the magnificent structure with its towering classical columns. Ryoichi identifies it as the Temple of the Wind Elemental God. Mello confirms it is the shrine of the winged goddess Sylphina. They join the large crowd, but Mallow is optimistic the wait won't be long. Mallow explains she cannot receive a blessing from a god other than her own. A young priest with an ornate staff calls for the next person in line. Ryoichi kneels, and the priest places a hand over his head to offer a blessing. Ryoichi's eye widens as a brilliant light suddenly flashes before him. A surge of power flows through him, and he questions if this is a blessing. Mia and Moa are disappointed, having felt no warmth during their turn. Coco comforts them, explaining that blessings are a rare occurrence for most. A calm, familiar voice calls out to Ishikawa, saying it's been a while. The man reveals that Ryoichi has received the blessing of the wind god. Ryoichi's eyes widen with recognition as he exclaims, realizing who the man is. A young elf girl, Mallow, stares in utter shock, questioning the identity of the person before her. Ryoichi's face lights up with joyful recognition as he calls out the name Kamishiro-san. Mallow, breathless with awe, corrects him, identifying the man as the first apostle, Michaelia-sama. The apostle stands tall and dignified, holding an ornate staff in glad and magnificent white robes. Michaelius greets Ryoichi on a cobblestone path, expressing his surprise at their unexpected reunion. He explains their meeting is fated as the temple's goddess, Sylphina, is a subordinate of his own. Ryoichi questions why Michaelius didn't appear at Mon's temple, suggesting a poor relationship between the gods. With a knowing smile, Michaelius confirms that the relationships among the gods are indeed complex. He then changes the subject, asking Ryoichi how he has been faring in this new world. Ryoichi happily replies that with his two adorable sisters Maya and Moa, every day is enjoyable. Michaelius turns his kind gaze to the girls, asking if they are truly happy. Both Mia and Moa joyfully confirm that living with Ryoichi is fun and makes them very happy. A gentle, satisfied smile spreads across Michaelius's face as he listens to their heartfelt words. He tells the girls that their presence clearly conveys Ryoichi's own good character. The apostle then astutely observes Mallow's blessing of pure water and Coco's dignified sordora. Overwhelmed by the praise, Mallow bows low, gratefully accepting the apostle's kind words. Coco is also humbled by his observation, admitting her rudeness and bowing her head respectfully. Michaelius tells them not to be so formal, noting how they have miraculously met good people. His expression turns serious as he warns them of future encounters with those of ill intent. He tasked them with traveling the world to gain further blessings from various gods. Michaelius explains that while the gods may give them trials, overcoming them brings great gifts. With his message delivered, the apostle vanishes in a brilliant ascending column of light. The two young girls stare in shock at the empty space, exclaiming that he is suddenly gone. Ryoichi calmly confirms to them that Kamishiro-san has indeed left the area. Suddenly, Mallow pinches Ryoichi's side with a sharp jab, causing him to yelp in pain. She scolds him for being far too familiar and casual with the great apostle. Coco turns to Ryoichi, asking how he was able to remain so calm during the encounter. He admits he was desperately trying to suppress his trembling, feeling an awe greater than the dragon's. Ryoichi looks flustered, denying any thoughts of challenging the powerful apostle. With a playful glint in her eye, Coco asks if he perhaps considered sparring with Michaelius. Coco declares they now have a new purpose, a temple pilgrimage to gain true strength. The day of the formal investiture ceremony arrives at a grand ornate estate. Ryoichi, dressed in a sharp tailcoat, feels they must be properly prepared for the event. Moa excitedly points out Ryoichi's formal attire, while Maya tells her not to run in her dress. He humbly deflects their praise, saying he can't compete with their cute dresses. Mallow's elegant, heeled shoe steps into view as she comments on their childishness. Now in a black gown, she advises that one should act gracefully on such occasions. Ryoichi compliments her mature new look, and she offers a grateful curtsy in return. With a confident wink, she says that surely no one can call her childish anymore. A soft voice apologizes for the delay, catching Ryoichi and Mallow's attention. Coco appears, looking stunning but shy in a white dress, nervously asking if she looks good. Ryoichi is rendered completely speechless, a deep blush spreading across his face. Moa rushes to Coco's side, showering her with compliments on how pretty she is. Ryoichi finally stammers that she looks not just good, but truly beautiful. Malo glares at Ryoichi's flustered expression, looking thoroughly unimpressed by his reaction. She pinches his back sharply, telling him not to make such a foolish face. Sir Julius arrives in full armor, announcing that he has come to pick them up. He reassures them that the ceremony is simple as their carriage approaches the castle. They arrive at the formidable stone gate of the grand castle, ready for the ceremony. Inside, they are met with a magnificent hall featuring grand staircases and ornate columns. Elegantly dressed nobles fill the hall, creating a breathtaking atmosphere of splendor and wealth. Ryoichi and Coco walk together, both admitting to feeling nervous in such a grand place. A knightly herald blows a trumpet, announcing the official commencement of the celebration. A booming voice proclaims the grand entrance of the imposing and regal duke. Now seated on his throne, the duke commands the dragon's carcass be brought before everyone. The colossal, blood-splattered body of the slain dragon is wheeled into the grand hall. A collective gasp of shock and fear ripples through the assembled faceless nobles. The duke apologizes for startling them, then states his intent to commend the heroes. The nobles offer a round of polite, synchronized applause for the announcement. General Gustav stands stoically, his arms crossed, ready to be recognized for his leadership. The Duke formally bestows the Dragon Slayer medal upon the kneeling General Gustav. Next, the Duke announces he will honor two others who delivered crucial news of the dragon. He calls the name of a nervous-looking Ryoichi Ishikawa to come forward. He then calls the name of a composed Koko youth, Jaberdeus, to join him. The Duke declares that he hereby confers upon them the title of honorary knights. Ryoichi and Koko bow their heads, humbly accepting the honor amidst the applause. The Duke formally concludes the knighthood investiture ceremony from his throne. As they leave the throne room, Ryoichi remarks to Koko that it ended surprisingly quickly. A knight addresses them by their new titles and asks them to follow him. They are led to a private room where General Gustav and other nobles await them. Masekis and Baron Giller congratulate Ryoichi on his first step toward nobility. The Baron clarifies that the honorary title is only recognized on Melisor Island. He encourages Ryoichi, saying that with more achievements, he can become a true knight. The Baron explains his own family's rise from honorary knight to full nobility. He passionately complains about the capital's nobles looking down on their island titles. Masakis apologizes for the Baron's political rant, suggesting it might bore Ryoichi. Ryoichi awkwardly acknowledges that even nobles seem to have their own share of troubles. The Baron insists they need more island nobles to boost their collective influence. Masekis reveals there has already been a suggestion to recruit Ryoichi as a retainer. However, he advises against it, saying the scheming world of nobles doesn't suit him. Masekis encourages Ryoichi to see more of the world and gain various experiences. From a balcony, he offers this humble advice, which Ryoichi and Koko gratefully accept. Ryoichi later enters another private chamber, leaving the formal meeting behind. Mia, Moa, and Malo cheerfully congratulate him and Koko on the successful ceremony. Malo informs them they can rest freely in the room until the banquet begins. Koko stretches languidly, admitting she is tired despite not having done much. Ryoichi suggests they do something to refresh themselves while they wait. Moa eagerly asks to play the card game he brought with him. Ryoichi confirms she means playing cards, magically producing a full deck. Moa clutches the cards with pure joy, exclaiming how much she loves the game. Malo examines the cards, noting their depth and potential for fortune-telling. Mia points to the Ace of Hearts, saying it suggests a new encounter is imminent. Ryoichi instead builds a house of cards, explaining it's his favorite way to play. He wistfully admits he had no one to play with after growing apart from friends. Moa asked me if she thinks they can make friends at the upcoming banquet. Mia worries that the noble children might not want to befriend commoners from the countryside. Moa, however, is undeterred, declaring that she wants to make friends regardless of status. Malo listens to their exchange with a thoughtful, unreadable expression. She proudly states she is a mentor, not a friend, but agrees to play with them anyway. The group sits together around the table, happily enjoying their friendly card game. With a soft click, the door to the private room swings open. A young blonde-haired girl wearing a small crown peeks inside. Moa looks up from her card game, questioning the sudden interruption. The newcomer asks if anything is the matter or if they need something. She explains that she simply heard fun voices and became curious. Moa cheerfully grabs the girl's hand, inviting her to play together. With a bright smile, Moa introduces herself and asks for the newcomer's name. The blonde girl happily replies that her name is Karika, pleased to meet Moa. Ryoichi warmly greets Karika and asks what game they're playing. He holds up his cards, explaining the game is called Old Maid. The rules are laid out. The player left holding the Joker loses. Karika finds the idea of passing around a demon card thrilling. The rest of the group is surprised by her suggestion of a punishment game. A nervous Ryoichi asks what kind of punishment she has in mind. Karika thoughtfully suggests the loser must obey the winner's commands. He questions what would happen if she were the one to lose. She confidently states she would comply with any order, even stripping. A flustered Ryoichi dismisses the idea, suggesting a swimsuit instead. Activating his item box, he materializes a men's swimsuit set. Karika is fascinated by the swimsuit's stretchy, water-repellent fabric. She excitedly asks if she can have the swimsuit if she wins the game. Ryoichi agrees to this bet, finding the stakes to be acceptable. As the game continues, Ryoichi complains of hunger and suggests donuts. Mo and Mia eagerly declare that they also want donuts. Ryoichi describes a donut as a tasty pastry with a hole in the middle. Karika proposes that they can get donuts if they beat Ryoichi. Coco's competitive spirit ignites, declaring that they cannot afford to lose now. Ryoichi playfully sets his own condition. If he wins, no one gets donuts. The girls stare at him, stunned into silence by his serious tone. Karika holds her cards, a sly, knowing smile on her face. She tells Mo to draw a specific card, claiming it's the old maid. Karika then leans over and whispers a secret to Mia. Trusting her new friend, Moa eagerly draws the card Karika indicated. Mia's eye widens in surprise as the plan begins to unfold. Ryoichi and the others watch, puzzled by the girls' teamwork. He wonders aloud if Karika has tricked the innocent Moa. Mia looks triumphant, a bright, confident smile on her face. She confidently slaps down a pair of matching aces on the table. Now it is real, she's turned to draw a card from Mia's hand. He reasons that since she just made a pair, this card must be safe. To his horror, he draws the Joker, letting out a cry of shock. Mia looks at him with a sly, apologetic smile, telling him he's done for. Ryoichi stares at the card, his eyes wide with disbelief at his loss. Karika explains that the game is about mind games, and he lost his cool. Malo throws down her final pair, declaring her victory. Moa also celebrates her win, tossing her last pair with a cheer. Ryoichi slumps onto the table, wondering how the Joker wasn't with Moa. Karika explains to Moa that she never had the old maid to begin with. With his eyes closed, Ryoichi admits his utter defeat. Moa presents a box of Sister Donut as a consolation prize. Karika's eyes light up at the sight of the donuts, forgetting the swimsuit. Ryoichi offers her the swimsuit anyway, telling her not to hold back. She takes a bite of a chocolate donut, her face a mask of pure bliss. In an instant, she finishes it, looking sad that it's already gone. Mohan may have rushed to offer her half of their own donuts. Malo is seen guiltily licking her fingers after finishing her treat. Coco observes that all Karika has left on her face are crumbs. Ryoichi sighs at the popularity of donuts and asks about the swimsuit. He wonders if a maid can tailor the men's swimsuit for her. Karika confidently states that it's large enough to be altered. The door to their room clicks open with a sudden sound. A stern-looking maid enters, formally addressing Ryoichi as Ishikawa-sama. Her eye widens in surprise as she spots the other girl in the room. She exclaims Karika's name, shocked to find her there. The maid informs Karika that her father is worried and they must leave. Ryoichi reassures them that they had fun and not to worry about it. An ornate chandelier hangs in a lavish hall, hinting at their destination. The scene shifts to a grand banquet hall filled with nobles. A regal duke approaches Ryoichi, thanking him for looking after Kirika. Ryoichi bows deeply, apologizing for not realizing her identity. The duke explains, Kirika is his youngest and has few friends her age. He kindly asks Ryoichi to play with her again in the future. Ryoichi is still processing the fact that Karika is a duke's daughter. Karika looks up at him with a serious, expecting expression. She asked him to drop the honorifics and just call her Kirika. Ryoichi hesitates, finding it difficult to be so informal with nobility. Karika insists, stating she will call him Ryoichi in return. With a slight smile, Ryoichi relents and agrees to her request. Moa and Mia cheer, proving of the new friendly arrangement. Coco asks about their future plans, and Ryoichi mentions the Kokonotsu Islands. Karika enthusiastically offers to be their guide for sightseeing the next day. Ryoichi worries about escorting a duke's daughter without a proper escort. Her maid Arina suddenly appears, stopping her with a firm gesture. Arina introduces herself and announces she will be Karika's escort. Ryoichi is surprised, while Moa cheers at the prospect of more time together. The group stands together, their sightseeing plans now officially set. Elsewhere, Coco and Malo look drained from the formal event. The next day, a grand carriage rolls through the capital streets. They arrive at the famous giant windmill, which awes the group with its size. Karika explains the windmill's vital importance to the city's daily life. A gentle breeze blows past Ryoichi, catching his attention. He wonders if the soft wind is influenced by the god Sylphina's blessing. Karika speculates that he might be well suited to the wind attribute. She mentions a legend of wind spirits residing in a nearby lake. Mo and Mia are thrilled at the prospect of seeing real spirits. Karika warns them that spirits are powerful and not to be trifled with. Ryoichi muses that, unlike monsters, spirits aren't inherently hostile. Coco, intrigued by their power, expresses a desire to spar with one. Their tour continues through the impressive architecture of the capital. They arrive at a fortune-teller's shop where a hooded figure awaits them. While sightseeing, Ryoichi notes the capital is too vast to see in one day. His attention is suddenly drawn to a building he identifies as a bookstore. Inside, he is impressed by the shop's good collection of magic books. He discovers a special book bearing the mark of the Triangle Magic Company. An antlered shopkeeper approaches, complimenting his excellent taste in rare books. She explains it as a rare, handwritten manual on magic tools from a lost civilization. She states the price is 7 gold coins, an expense that shocks Ryoichi. Noticing his guild card, she asked him to give her regards to a lady in ES Village. Later, Karika holds the new book, asking if it is about magic tools. She asks if he can read the ancient script. He confirms he can, for the most part. Karika mentions rumors that nobles greatly cherish these kinds of magical items. Moa excitedly points to her wrist device, declaring it to be a magic tool, too. A small hologram of the girl named Maiken politely introduces herself to Karika. Karika is amazed, exclaiming that there is a woman inside the bracelet. Moa explains that the device allows them to communicate even from a distance. Karika notes a resemblance to her maid, Arena, a comparison Mishan's voice refutes. She tries to show the resemblance to Arena, who remains silent and unimpressed. Karika excitedly asked where they will go tomorrow, promising to show them much more. Her expression becomes hesitant as she begins to speak. The maid Arena appears, firmly informing Karika that she cannot play due to classes. A shocked Karika asks if they can reschedule their sightseeing for today instead. Arena sternly denies her request, stating it was the agreement with her father. Karika falls silent, her disappointment showing in her downcast eyes. Moa watches her new friend's sadness with a look of concern. As she has led away, Karika promises to see them off on their departure day. 2 days later, Coco laments that their second day of sightseeing passed too quickly. The day for their departure from the grand capital city has finally arrived. Moa sadly wishes she could have played more with her new friend, Karika. Her face is downcast as she voices her desire for more time with her friend. Ryoichi sympathizes, acknowledging that a noble's daughter must have little freedom. The sound of an approaching carriage interrupts their melancholy conversation. Karika comes running down the street, calling out to everyone with a bright smile. She and Moa hold hands, happily promising to see each other and play again soon. Karika wistfully expresses her wish to travel with them, finding their company exciting. Moa's eyes well up with tears as she begins to sniffle, sad to say goodbye. She then turns to Ryoichi, getting his attention with a gentle call. Moa suggests giving her mission communication device to Karika so they can stay in touch. Ryoichi understands her desire to remain connected with the friend she's made. A newly created communication device is shown, ready to be gifted. He explains that he has duplicated the device and Meiken will teach her to use it. Karika accepts the gift with a radiant smile, thanking Ryoichi for his kindness. Ryoichi is completely shocked when Karika gives him a frilly girl swimsuit in return. Karika explains that her maid, Irina, stayed up late to tailor it for her. She was advised against wearing it in public, so she decided to gift it to Moa. Karika imagines replicating the impressive design for the other girls, flustering Ryoichi. Coco, however, firmly states that she will absolutely not be wearing such an outfit. Irina expresses her regret that she cannot see them off at their next destination. She delivers a serious warning, urging the surprise group to be very careful at Kirkport. Irina reveals that a month ago, a series of attacks on cargo ships began. The perpetrators escaped and are now believed to be hiding in the eastern waters. A formidable pirate crew led by the infamous Barbarossa is revealed as the threat. The group arrives at the bustling Kirkport, overlooking the vast ocean. The younger girls are amazed by the sheer size of the sea before them. They stand together at the water's edge, remarking on how beautiful it is. Coco suggests she and Ryoichi handle ferry procedures while the others enjoy the view. They are shocked to learn that the regular ferry service has been cancelled. Both Ryoichi and Coco look utterly stunned by this unexpected development. A port official explains that all departures are on hold due to pirate sightings. Ryoichi realizes these must be the pirates Arena had warned them about. He turns away in frustration, cursing the pirates for causing such trouble. Nearby, two shipwrights lament another attack, feeling there's no end to the pirate menace. They worry about their dwindling supply of wood for the constant ship repairs. Ryoichi overhears their conversation, and the word would catches his attention. He approaches the troubled shipwrights, politely asking if they need any wood. He activates his item box, summoning a supply of blessed wood from Yeast Village. The shipwrights are astounded, recognizing the top-notch quality of the blessed lumber. One gratefully calls it a blessing from the ship god, hoping it speeds up repairs. Ryoichi clarifies that it's a commercial transaction and accepts a pouch of money. The grateful shipwrights call him a treasure and insist he meet their guildmaster. They arrive at the impressive stone building of the Kirk branch of the Adventurers Guild. Inside the guildmaster, Held introduces himself and thanks them for the wood. Helt recognizes them as the honorary knights from the dragon-slaying ceremony. He reveals that he also attended the prestigious knighting ceremony in the capital. Ryoichi humbly asks not to be treated formally, insisting they are just adventurers. Held respects his wishes, agreeing to treat them as fellow adventurers from now on. As his first official act helped promote Ryoichi's adventure rank to C, Helt's expression turns serious, stating this allows him to give them a designated request. He confirms to a questioning Ryoichi that he has a special request for them. The request is to help subjugate the Black Pirate fleet led by Barbarossa. He explains that a subjugation force led by General Gustav had been dispatched before. The knights engaged the pirates, who proved to be surprisingly strong in combat. The pirates also had a powerful spirit mage who allowed them to escape the battle. The knights had to withdraw from their pursuit to deal with a sudden dragon appearance. Helt explains that with the general's return, now is the perfect time for another attack. He formally asked for Ryoichi's assistance in the subjugation mission. Ryoichi expresses hesitation, explaining that they would love to help but have reservations. He clarifies that they are wary of fighting other humans, unlike monsters. Coco adds that in a real battle they can't hold back and wish to avoid killing. Helt understands their kindness, but reminds them that ships can't depart until the pirates are gone. He suggests they visit the Spirit Lake as spirits are drawn to kind-hearted people. The scene shifts to the Kirkport shipyard, where large ships are docked. The girls are seen painting toy boats, discussing the Spirit Lake Karika had mentioned. Ryoichi confirms the sea is dangerous, so they won't be taking a real boat. The girls proudly show off the beautifully colored toy boats they have made. Ryoichi admires their work and suggests they go and float them somewhere safe. The girls cheer, happy that the lake is a place free from pirates. They arrive at the serene and beautiful Moton's Lake, surrounded by a lush forest. The girls are excited by the big, beautiful lake as Ryoichi prepares to float their boats. They wade into the water, delighting in how cold and refreshing it feels. One of the girls excitedly declares she will wear the swimsuit Karika gave her, shocking Ryoichi. Two young girls, Mei and Moa, splash joyfully in a lake, exclaiming how much fun they are having. Observing them, a fox-eared woman named Coco reminisces about her own harsh waterfall training. Moa then asked Coco if she could teach her how to swim, but Coco hesitates, claiming she has no swimsuit. Mia points out that an adult-sized swimsuit made by a maid named Irina was among their presents. A blushing Coco wonders why Irina would have made such an item for her. A young elf, Malo, playfully teases Coco, suggesting her swimming technique is likely just the doggy paddle. From off-panel and indignant Coco shouts, vehemently denying the playful accusation. Now in a striking black bikini, Coco vows to show them her true current Rishi technique. She swims with incredible speed and skill, proudly demonstrating her current swimming technique to an impressed Ryoichi. Ryoichi notes their lakeside bathing, while Malo suddenly announces her desire for a barbecue. A curious girl asks what a barbecue is, as Ryoichi comments on Malo's sharp senses when it comes to food. A barbecue grill materializes with a dramatic flourish ready to be used. Ryoichi explains his preference for the superior taste of charcoal grilling, even if it requires more effort. On the hot grill, squid and corn begin to sizzle appetizingly. He skillfully tosses a large portion of yakisoba with a pair of long tongs. The feast of grilled squid, corn, and yakisoba is proudly declared ready. Looking for a place to set the food, Ryoichi's eyes land on a mysterious vine-covered stone stand. He decides to stand as a perfect makeshift table and places the platters of food upon it. Lured from the water, the girls express their delight at the irresistible smell of burning soy sauce. Ryoichi smiles, commenting that their outing has become a full-blown lakeside camp as he prepares to serve. When he turns back to the stand, he is shocked to discover that all the food has vanished. Immediately, he turns to Mello, accusing her of snacking again. Malo lets out a cry of genuine panic, her face a mask of shock. She frantically tries to explain to Ryoichi that the structure is not a table. An ethereal, antlered woman appears as Malo reveals it is the Great Spirit's altar. The Great Spirit playfully confesses she manifested the altar because the delicious smell was too tempting to resist. Both Ryoichi and Malo are left utterly speechless by the divine being's sudden appearance. Overcome with reverence, Malo kneels before the Great Spirit, offering a formal greeting. The spirit warmly greets the adorable little priestess, praising her brother's incredible food. She delightfully eats a donut, marveling that she has a separate stomach for such treats. As a thank you for the wonderful offering, she announces her intention to bestow her blessing upon them. Malo urgently tells the stunned Ryoichi to offer the spirit the donuts. With a flourish, Ryoichi presents the box of sister donuts. He stares in amazement, realizing that even a powerful Great Spirit is a fan of donuts. The clearing is suddenly filled with small, glowing creatures, summoned by the Great Spirit's blessing. Coco looks on in wonder, asking what the glowing little creatures are. Mia and Moa are utterly captivated, exclaiming how cute and fluffy the spirits feel. The Great Spirit identifies them as wind spirits, and grants the group the ability to contract with spirits of all elements. Malo worries, recognizing this blessing as a special grant, usually reserved for when a demon king appears. The spirit cryptically remarks that in another era, they would be heroes before she departs. Ryoichi's attention is captured by one of the small, cat-like wind spirits. Using his appraisal skill, he is shocked to see its power as comparable to a dragon's. The spirit turns on him furiously, scolding him for his lack of delicacy and appraising her. Startled that the spirit is female and can speak, Ryoichi earns another sharp rebuke for his phrasing. He apologizes and asks for her name, but she explains that a name is the proof of a contract. He understands that giving her a name is the key to forming a binding contract. The spirit slyly adds that she will only accept a name if she likes it. Ryoichi studies the lily-like flower on her head, searching for a fitting name. He tentatively suggests naming her Lily. After a moment of consideration, she deems the name cute and acceptable. With her acceptance, the contract is complete, and she announces she will form the Spirit Gate. She explains that this gate is a special circuit designed for the transmission of magic. In a brilliant flash of light, Lily dives directly into Ryoichi's chest. The scene shifts to a large ship docked at the bustling Kirkport. A man with long hair, olean bark, stands on a balcony, sensing a disturbance. An armored female knight approaches him, asking what is wrong. Oleon reveals his spirit has informed him of a new spirit mage's birth in the area. The knight declares they must find this valuable asset and recruit them immediately. Oleon repeats the word comrades with a deep melancholy, finding the concept distant. His companion is baffled, reminding him of his prestigious A-rank adventurer status. He reflects that such strong titles bring only solitude, as all his past party members have vanished. Back in the forest, the sky is calm and peaceful above the treetops. Ryoichi groans, pushing himself up from the ground, disoriented from the recent event. He looks around confused, wondering what happened and where the cat-like spirit went. Lily suddenly emerges from his chest, announcing the successful formation of the Spirit Gate. Ryoichi blurts out if he's possessed, earning an angry rebuke from the feisty spirit. She perches on his head, stating that while summoning is an option, she will follow him directly. Now draped over his shoulder, she solidifies her presence as his newly contracted spirit. The other girls rush over, joyfully announcing their own successful contracts with their new spirits. Ryoichi is amazed that all four of them managed to form contracts so easily. He observes how calm and affectionate the other girls' spirits seem to be. He then asked if Lily isn't a bit too temperamental in comparison. Enraged, Lily demands a thank you present, boasting of her proximity to becoming a great spirit. Ryoichi apologizes, musing on the difficulty of her potential future. He suggests offering her the donuts that the great spirit enjoyed. The other spirits overhear and descend upon the donut box in a frenzy. They greedily snatched the pastries, creating a chaotic and messy scene. Ryoichi stands with his arms crossed, noting that it's not a forbidden food. He notices Malo guiltily eating a donut, causing a crack in their contractual relationship. A girl suggests having another barbecue as a welcome party for their new spirit friends. Later, Lily begins to teach them the fundamentals of spirit magic. She explains the spirit gate in their bodies connects to the spirit world. Passing magic through this gate amplifies its power more than tenfold. One of the girls marvels at the cool and amazing nature of spirit magic. Lily reassures a girl who can't use wind magic that the spirit will convert it for her. Ryoichi summarizes the gate's function as an amplifier and converter, while Lily stresses the importance of communication. Coco is reassured that simply being friendly can enhance their power. Ryoichi worries that he wasn't being friendly enough with the temperamental Lily. Malo despairs, wondering how she can communicate with her spirit, which only sleeps and eats. At a set of ancient ruins, Ryuichi decides to test his new spirit magic. He places an apple on a boulder and instructs Lily to target it. With a determined look, Ryoichi prepares to cast his spell alongside Lily. He channels his wind magic through the spear gate, focusing his power. Lily lets out an ecstatic roar, reveling in the powerful sensation. He unleashes a basic wind cutter, which creates a massive destructive vortex. Stunned, Ryoichi questions if that was truly basic magic, its power being far too high. He and Lily speculate that the immense power might be due to Sylphina-sama's blessing. Their journey then takes them to the Adventurers Guild in Kirk. The guildmaster greets them, acknowledging that they have successfully contracted with spirits. With a look of impressed approval, he states that they have exceeded his expectations. A young man, Ryoichi, looks up with a start, his eyes wide with confusion. In a stone archway, a woman with a draconic creature announces she has been waiting. She introduces herself as the spirit mage, Olean Bark, here to welcome the newcomers. Ryoichi stammers a greeting, asking if she is also a spirit mage. With a retina of knights, Olean strides forward with an air of authority. The young man recoils in surprise, a bead of sweat on his face. Oyan explains that the people with her have something to discuss with him. A man with a ponytail expresses his shock that Ryoichi and Coco are spirit mages. Ryoichi recognizes one of the armored figures, calling out Julius's name in surprise. He confirms to Olean that they only recently contracted with their spirits. Olean considers this, musing that the timing might actually be quite bad. A royal crest is displayed as someone asks what she means by this. Julius unrolls a scroll, declaring a summons for all spirit mages for a pirate subjugation. The news hits Ryoichi and his companion Coco with the force of a thunderclap. Oyan explains that naval battles are primarily long-range magical duels between spirit mages. A terrifying, multi-eyed spirit is shown as she describes the pirates' powerful mages. Ryoichi asks about the consequences of refusal. Olean reveals their titles would be revoked. A grand ship with a lion crest on its sails cuts through the ocean waves. On the deck of the vessel, Ryoichi and Coco stand together looking out. Ryoichi suspects that Guildmaster set them up, finding the prospect of being a fugitive troublesome. Coco states that losing her title would bring unacceptable disgrace to her family name. From the dock, two young girls, Maya and Moa, wish Ryoichi a safe return. Ryoichi feels a small sense of relief that the children were exempted from the summons. A confident Malo declares that she, his future wife, will protect the girls. Julius apologizes for the forced mission, but promises to assign knights to protect the children. The kingdom's ship sails swiftly across the open sea, its sails billowing. A pirate captain has shown the narration explaining their usual goal as treasure. A woman with long hair tells Ryoichi they have faced the skilled pirate mages before. She stresses their need for his power to tip the now equal balance of strength. Ryoichi, with his spirit Lily, humbly expresses his uncertainty about being of any help. The woman reassures him, sensing a strong power in his spirits that will grow. She shakes his hand, stating that having an experienced ally like him is reassuring. She then asks him directly if he isn't afraid of her and the spirits. Ryoichi thoughtfully recalls hearing a similar sentiment from a man named Kamashiro. Coco admits she feels some fear, identifying the woman as an A-rank adventurer. Ryoichi exclaims in shock, asking if she's on par with the legendary Masekis. The woman wryly confirms Masekis was a maniac and that A-rank adventurers have strong egos. She wonders why Ryoichi holds no prejudice against her flamboyant and peculiar attire. He explains that cosplay isn't unusual where he's from, then misidentifies her as male. He awkwardly corrects himself, asking her to teach him about spirits and adventures. Visibly touched, she tells Ryoichi-kun how kind he is, leaving him confused. The woman tells him not to be so formal, causing him to become flustered. With a wink, she introduces herself as Catherine Orion Bark and asks to be called Carrie. A sudden, violent tremor rocks the ship, throwing the group off balance. At the helm, a knight and the captain cry out in alarm at the shaking. Two knights shout a warning to Julius about an attack from the side. A projectile hits their ship as they wonder if it's fire spirit magic. Through the smoke, a menacing pirate ship with black sails speeds towards them. A hook-handed pirate captain taunts the knights, announcing his surprise arrival. Julius realizes the pirates use spirit magic to close the distance for close combat. Ryoichi and Koko are shocked, realizing their intelligence about avoiding combat was wrong. The pirate captain roars for his men to take the knights down and make them pay. A subordinate frantically reports that their spirit mage leader has disappeared again. Another pirate explains the boss finds close combat a drag and teleported away. A third pirate muses that the boss will probably get bored and return eventually. The scene shifts to the quiet, peaceful port town where the leader escaped. In the port, a junior knight named Faye introduces herself as the children's escort. A small boy with her eagerly asked Mo and sister Faye to play. Faye is charmed by the children, thinking about how cute they are. A hooded mallow warns the girls to hide their powerful spirits from bad people. From a dark alley, a sinister, masked figure observes the three wind spirits. The figure notes with a twisted smile that all the spirit mages are cute girls. Watching the children, the figure expresses a chilling desire for them to join them. The villain with an octopus-like creature asks their companion, Kraken, if they agree.